Chapter 672. Wang Haoran waited for a while. Soon, he received another message from the system. Ding! Villain Halo has exceeded 40,000 points. Reward calculation completed. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Super Background Activation card. Wang Haoran was delighted. He immediately communicated with the system and checked his backpack. Super Background Activation card. Worth 4,000,000 villain points. After activation, the host will have a super strong background. There were only a few words in the introduction, and it was difficult for Wang Haoran to guess what it was. However, just by looking at the description that it was worth 400,000 villain points, it must be something good. Wang Haoran clicked to use it. However, after waiting for a while, there was still no response. Wang Haoran guessed that the Super Background Activation card might take some time. He could only temporarily suppress his thoughts and focus on Zhuqiu Qinyu. After staying in Shanghai for a few days, Wang Haoran, Qin Huaimeng, Qin Yunhan, and the beauties of his Zhuqiu family returned to Qingling. After arriving at Qingling, Wang Haoran helped Qin Huaimeng and the beauty settle down. Then, he went to the small village at the edge of Qingling. When he arrived at the Blessed Cave, he refined all the spiritual liquid that had accumulated in the Chaos Bottle. After consummating with Zhuqiu Qinyu, Wang Haoran was already at the late stage of the 4th level of the Foundation Establishment stage. After refining the spiritual liquid, his cultivation entered the 5th level of the Foundation Establishment stage. At the same time, Wang Haoran suddenly received a call from Wang Xiang. "My dear son, where are you? Come home quickly." Wang Xiang's voice sounded very anxious. "Dad, what happened?" Wang Haoran asked. "I can't explain it clearly over the phone. Just come home quickly. This concerns the future of the Wang family," Wang Xiang said solemnly. Hearing Wang Xiang's tone, Wang Haoran's expression turned serious. He wondered if his cheap dad and mom had offended the main character again. Didn't he tell them not to stir up trouble? "I'll be right back." After hanging up the phone, Wang Haoran rushed back to the Wang family. However, what surprised Wang Haoran was that when he walked into the hall, he saw Wang Xiang and Zhun Li smiling. They didn't seem to be in danger at all. In addition to Wang Xiang and Zhun Li, there was also an unfamiliar old man with a white beard. "My dear son, you're finally back. Come here." Zhun Li waved at Wang Haoran excitedly. Wang Haoran heaved a sigh of relief and walked into the hall through the door. "My dear son, come and greet your great-grandfather," Wang Xiang said to Wang Haoran as he gestured to the old man sitting in the hall. "Great-grandfather?" Wang Haoran raised his eyebrows. He sized up this old man and soon perceived an extremely strong fluctuation of spiritual aura. His heart suddenly shook. This old man's spiritual power was actually not much weaker than his own. Good, good, good. The old man also sized up Wang Haoran. Suddenly, he was startled and said good 3 times. Wang Xiang and Zhun Li looked at each other and couldn't help but wonder. They saw the old man stand up from his seat and excitedly walk over to Wang Haoran. "Good, as expected of the flesh and blood of my Wang family. His bones are exquisite and 1 in a million. He's really a good material for cultivation." The old man looked at Wang Haoran with fiery eyes and exclaimed, "Grandpa, do you mean that Haoran is suitable for cultivation?" Wang Xiang asked with joy. "That's right." The old man said to Wang Xiang, "He's simply a genius. It would have been better if I had come to you earlier. However, it's not too late now. Haoran's bone age is less than 20 years old. It's not too late. It's just that I've spent a lot of resources on cultivation." Wang Haoran always kept a low profile, so he deliberately hid his cultivation. If it wasn't for the fact that his cultivation was much higher, no one would be able to tell that he was hiding his strength and would only think that he was an ordinary person. As for the old man's amazing bones, it was probably because Wang Haoran had been reborn after cultivating the Demon Emperor's internal scripture. Naturally, he was different from ordinary people. When Wang Xiang and Zhun Li heard that their son was suitable for cultivation, they were happy for him. The former said to Wang Haoran, "Why are you calling him? Hurry up and call him great-grandfather." Wang Haoran felt very strange. Looking at the old man who had suddenly appeared, he really couldn't call him great-grandfather. However, he didn't doubt the old man's identity, because he could feel that there was a connection between him and the old man's blood. They must be related by blood. The old man's appearance was most likely because of the super background card. Judging from the current environment on the cerulean planet, the old man could be considered a very strong backer. Wang Haoran searched his memory for information related to the old man. There was very little information. Wang Haoran only knew that the old man's name was Wang Wanli. He knew this name because it was written on the ancestral tablet enshrined on the Wang family's spiritual altar. The old man looked at Wang Haoran dotingly and said to Wang Xiang and Zheng Li, "Haoran has never seen me before and feels that I'm a stranger. It's normal that he can't call me great-grandfather. Take your time. Don't be impatient." "How did you meet?" Wang Haoran asked curiously. "Wasn't it your grandfather's life sacrifice yesterday? Your mother and I went to Qingling Mountain to pay our respects and saw someone in front of the tomb. I went over to take a look and immediately recognized that it was your great-grandfather. At that time, your mother and I were shocked. Later, we found out that it was your missing great-grandfather," Wang Xiang explained. "Actually, I didn't go missing. I just went to the sacred realm," the old man explained. Wang Haoran's eyes lit up when he heard this new title. This must be an advanced map on the cerulean planet. Was there a protagonist on this advanced map? Wang Xiang and Zheng Li had already heard this term, so they weren't very surprised. "What is the sacred realm?" Wang Haoran asked. "It's the world of cultivators," Wang Wanli replied. Wang Haoran had already vaguely guessed before he asked. After hearing Wang Wanli's answer, he nodded and was about to ask more questions. However, Wang Wanli suddenly asked first, "Is Haoran married?" "Grandpa, Haoran isn't even 20 yet. He's still in college," Wang Xiang answered. "Ah, I've been in the sacred realm for too long. I'm a little confused. In the secular world, Haoran is still a few years away from being married." Wang Wanli reacted and immediately said, "However, in the sacred realm, Haoran should have been married long ago. The Wang family has very few descendants. Haoran is so talented that he should start a family as soon as possible," Wang Wanli said. "Grandpa, Haoran has a few girlfriends," Wang Xiang said. "Women in the secular world are just for fun. How can they be worthy of Haoran's children? Only the most beautiful girls in the sacred realm are worthy of Haoran. There is no lack of beautiful girls in the sacred realm. I'll find a few to be Haoran's wives and concubines," Wang Wanli said. "Grandpa, don't you need to discuss it? Will they agree?" Wang Xiang asked in surprise. Wang Wanli proudly said, "To be the wife and concubine of a descendant of the Wang family is their great fortune. It doesn't matter if they're willing or not." When he heard this, Wang Haoran immediately labeled Wang Wanli as a villain. At the same time, he smelled the scent of a trap. This rotten old man was going around trying to find beautiful girls to be his wives and concubines. No matter how he looked at it, he would draw the hatred of the protagonist. His current identity was that of a villain with a powerful background. In other words, he was the best stepping stone for the protagonist to make a name for themselves. Chapter 673. Grandpa, Haoran has the talent for cultivation. Are you going to take him to the sanctuary? Wang Xiang was happy for a while because of his son's aptitude. However, he soon realized something and immediately frowned. Zheng Li also thought of the same thing, and she couldn't help but frown. "That's right. I'm going to take him to the sanctuary. Haoran is a genius, and he's a good material for cultivation. It's useless to leave him in the mortal world," Wang Wanli replied. Wang Xiang and Zheng Li became sadder when they heard this. "I'm not interested in cultivation. Why don't I not go?" Wang Haoran interjected. He didn't know where the sanctuary was, but it definitely wasn't close. It might be inconvenient to travel there. Wang Haoran didn't feel safe leaving Qingling with so many female leads. "Haoran, why do you have such thoughts? If you cultivate the Tao, you will be able to live forever in the future. Moreover, you will have the power to move mountains and overturn seas. Don't you want to have all these?" Wang Wanli asked patiently. "No." Wang Haoran shook his head. Wang Wanli was stunned. Wang Xiang and Zheng Li became anxious when they heard their son's unambitious words. Although they didn't want their son to leave them, they still hoped that he could have a better future. "My dear son, are you reluctant to leave your girlfriends? Didn't your great-grandpa say that there are many beautiful women in the sanctuary. You can also live a carefree life there. Wang Xiang guessed his son's thoughts and tried to persuade him. Howren, I can guarantee you that as long as you go to the sanctuary, you can get any woman you like. Even if you want 1,000 or 10,000, I will satisfy you, Wang Wanli said, following Wang Xiang's train of thought. How about this? I'll go to the sanctuary in a year or so, Wang Howren said. He definitely had to make a trip to the sacred region, but he didn't really want to go now. It's already very late for you to start cultivating now. You still have time to awaken your bloodline in the ancestral land before your bone age reaches 20. In a year or so, your bone age will exceed 20. This is cutting off your own future. You must not, Wang Wanli said anxiously. Wang Howren's eyes lit up when he heard the words bloodline awakening in the ancestral land. Even though Zhang Xian wasn't too sure what was going on, he knew that it would be beneficial to him. With that thought in mind, Wang Howren relented and said, Then, let's go to the holy region. Although there were many female leads in Qingling's camp, his legs were his. If he wanted to come back, he could just come back. It shouldn't delay anything. Hearing Wang Howren agree, Wang Wanli was overjoyed. At the same time, he also gained a better understanding of this great-grandson of his. This great-grandson of his was a lecher. For Qingling's girlfriend, he was willing to give up his future. When he heard that Wang Wanli would find him many beauties when he went to the holy region, he relented. If this wasn't lecherous, then what was? However, Wang Wanli didn't think that this was a bad thing. The Wang family had few descendants and needed to expand. The more lecherous his great-grandson was, the better. If he could find more wives and concubines, he would be able to produce a large number of descendants for the Wang family. Okay, Howren will set off in 3 days. Take advantage of this time and do whatever you need to do in Qingling as soon as possible, Wang Wanli said decisively. In the next 3 days, Wang Howren went to find Tang Bingyun, Yang Jingwan, and the other female leads whom he hadn't seen in a long time. At the same time, he told them that he was the reincarnation of the immortal emperor. Then he cultivated with them. After cultivating, they were no longer weak women who couldn't even trust a chicken. Instead, they were able to protect themselves. However, when Wang Howren went to find Fang Xian, he didn't find her. Fang Xian's adoptive parents said that Fang Xian's biological parents had taken her away. They didn't know where she had gone. In fact, Wang Howren had already expected this. When he found that Fang Xian had a jade pendant that was related to her identity, he suspected that Fang Xian's background was not simple. However, Wang Howren didn't expect that Fang Xian would leave without even saying goodbye. Of course, Wang Howren didn't think that Fang Xian deliberately didn't say goodbye to him. Instead, there must have been some other reason. That was why Fang Xian didn't inform him when she left. Fang Xian was the female lead. As for Fang Xian's background, Wang Howren, who was well-versed in the plot, had 2 speculations. First, Fang Xian was the long-lost daughter of a leader in the secluded Jianghu. Secondly, Fang Xian was the long-lost daughter of the leader of a force in the same domain. Wang Howren was going to the sanctuary this time, so he could personally inquire about Fang Xian. As for the secluded Jianghu, Wang Howren asked Long Qianshan to inquire about it. When he came to Qingling, Long Qianshan followed him. Wang Howren found Long Qianshan and taught him some rudimentary immortal martial arts. He also instructed him to inquire about whether there was any leader in the secluded Jianghu who had suddenly found his long-lost daughter. Long Qianshan obeyed immediately, as if he was receiving an imperial edict. 3 days later, Wang Howren and Wang Wanli set off. Wang Wanli's cultivation was comparable to the 5th level of the foundation establishment stage, so he could fly. He wrapped Wang Howren in his spiritual energy and flew towards Nanjiang. When they arrived at the depths of Nanjiang's 100,000 mountain range, they descended from the sky. In the depths of Nanjiang's 100,000 mountain range, primitive scenes could be seen everywhere. There were even some wild beasts that were unheard of in the outside world. In short, it was extremely dangerous. If an ordinary person came here, they would definitely lose their life. Wang Wanli brought Wang Howren to an area with distorted space. Wang Haoran could sense some spiritual energy faintly seeping out from this distorted space. The richness of the spiritual qi was comparable to that of the blessed enclave in the mountain behind Qing Ling's little village. "This is the entrance to the sanctuary," Wang Wanli said to Wang Haoran. Immediately, he used his spiritual energy to protect him and brought him into the distorted space. It was dark all around, and they could hear the terrifying tearing sound of the space storm. It was as if they were in a pitch-black, narrow passage. After about half an hour, there was some light at the front of the passage. As they continued to move forward, the light became brighter. Not long after, they finally passed through the passage. The surrounding scenery quickly entered Wang Haoran's vision. It looked like it was surrounded by a forest. However, the trees in the forest were too tall. The shortest one was at least 100 meters tall. In the forest, there were some unknown, huge birds resting on the trees. Even the air was filled with spiritual energy. Wang Haoran suddenly had the illusion that he was in the immortal cultivation world. This is the sanctuary, a space opened by several powerful saints. The area is vast, and with the ocean and forest, it is larger than the total area of the cerulean planet, Wang Wanli suddenly said. Chapter 674. After Wang Haoran heard Wang Wanli's words, he fell into deep thought. On the blue planet, the realm above the human immortal realm was called the Sage Realm. The so-called Sage Realm was actually an immortal cultivator. According to the 10 major realms of immortal cultivation, to open a space in the void, one must at least reach the 7th stage, the Dongshu stage. In other words, there used to be more than one Dongshu stage powerhouse on the blue planet. Although the 7th stage of the Dongshu stage was far from the 9th stage of the Tribulation stage, it was still very strong. The water on the blue planet was indeed very deep. Going back and forth between the sacred realm and the secular world consumed a lot of my energy. I will need a long time to recover. If you want to go back, you will have to wait at least 3 years. Wang Wanli suddenly coughed a few times and said to Wang Haoran. Hearing this, Wang Haoran secretly cursed this old man. There was a space storm in that space passage. When going in and out, one would need to use a large amount of spiritual energy to protect one's body and resist the space storm. But to say that it would take 3 years to recover was too exaggerated. Wang Wanli was obviously bullying him for not understanding. Furthermore, Wang Wanli had said it when he entered the saint level, and not before. This was obviously intentional. This old man was afraid that Wang Haoran would suddenly change his mind and not go to the sacred realm. However, Wang Wanli was thinking too much. Even without him, Wang Haoran would have been able to pass through the passageway on his own. Although it would also consume some energy, Wang Haoran brought the chaos bottle with him to the sacred realm this time. No matter how much energy he consumed, he could instantly recover his MP with a mouthful of spiritual liquid. Going back and forth between the secular world and the sacred realm was very difficult for Wang Wanli, but for Wang Haoran, it was actually very simple. Wang Haoran immediately relaxed. Before, he was worried that the sacred realm was too far away and it would be inconvenient for him to go back to Qingling. But now it seemed that this problem was not a problem at all. The spiritual energy in the sacred realm was rich, and the chaos bottle could quickly absorb it and turn it into spiritual liquid. As long as there was enough spirit liquid in the chaos bottle, it would not be difficult for Wang Haoran to go back and forth dozens of times a day. Haoran, take things as they come. I said that I'll find you a lot of beauties, and I'll definitely do it. I'm not lying to you. When Wang Wanli saw that Wang Haoran didn't speak, he only thought that Wang Haoran was worried. If you fancy any beauty in the sacred region, just snatch her away. If you see someone you don't like, just kill them. You can do whatever you want. If anything happens, I'll cover for you. When Wang Haoran heard such arrogant words, he could not help but feel strange in his heart, because he really doubted whether Wang Wanli had the strength to protect him. Could a cultivator at level 5 of the Foundation Establishment stage really dominate the sanctuary? Are you rank number 1 in the Saint Realm? Wang Haoran couldn't help but ask. How is that possible? Wang Wanli's face twitched, and he quickly shook his head. Then why are you still saying that? Aren't you asking me to die? Wang Howren said. Howren, you don't know. Above me, there's still the Wang family's ancestor. As long as the ancestor makes a move, there's nothing in the sacred region that can't be settled. But under normal circumstances, no one dares to go against our Wang family. I'll make a move. You can rest assured. Wang Wanli explained. Wang Howren suddenly understood. He himself was at level 5 of the Foundation Establishment stage. After having a great-grandfather at level 5 of the Foundation Establishment stage, he didn't feel that he was riding on his coattails. Because of this, he was a little disappointed in the super background card. But now it seems that this super background card worth 400,000 was not just in name. Of course, Wang Howren didn't dare to do as Wang Wanli said and do whatever he wanted in the sacred region. The Wang family seemed to be able to do whatever they wanted in the sacred region, but don't forget, there was still the main character. The Wang family was so strong, wasn't it used to set off the main character, to let the main character show off? Wang Howren was more and more certain that there was a main character in the sacred region. Wang Howren thought of Feng Xian's matter, so he asked Wang Wanli, "All right, have you heard recently that a leader of a certain force in the sacred region suddenly found his long-lost daughter in the secular world? The sacred region is vast, and there are countless forces. Do you know this woman's name?" Wang Wanli asked. Wang Howren opened his mouth, wanting to say Feng Xian, but before he could say anything, he closed his mouth again. Feng Xian followed her adoptive parent's surname. Feng Xian's biological parents most likely didn't have the surname Feng. And let's not talk about Feng Xian's Feng. Feng Xian might not even be called Feng Xian. "I don't know her name," Wang Howren replied. "And it's like looking for a needle in a haystack." Wang Wanli spread his hands helplessly, then said, "But I'll do my best to use the Wang family spies to find out which force's leader in the sacred region found their long-lost daughter in the secular world." Wang Howren nodded. Wang Wanli rested for a moment, recovering his spirit energy, then took Wang Howren into the air, leaving the forest and heading towards a majestic ancient city. The Wang family was located in this majestic ancient city. The Wang family's mansion occupied an extremely large area and was extremely luxurious, comparable to the imperial city. The Wang family had many members, but only a small portion of them were collateral relatives. The rest were all outsiders who changed their surnames to join the Wang family. Wang Wanli was the only direct descendant of the Wang family, apart from the Wang family's patriarch. Of course, there was also Wang Howren now. After Wang Wanli brought Wang Howren back to the Wang family, tens of thousands of Wang family members gathered in the main square to pay their respects to the new young master. In short, Wang Howren was as impressive as he could be. After the ceremony of succeeding the young master, Wang Wanli brought Wang Howren to the Wang family's ancestral land. In the ancestral land, there was a pool that was dozens of feet wide. The bloodline awakening was in this pool. The water in the pool contained a strange power. After the sacrifice in the ancestral land, Wang Howren entered the pool according to Wang Wanli's instructions. After a moment, Wang Howren's body shone brightly, dazzling and eye-catching. Seeing this scene, Wang Wanli's wrinkled old face revealed a look of ecstasy. Wang Howren only felt that a strange power in his body was triggered. At the same time, the surrounding spirit energy crazily surged into his body. In the sky above the ancestral land, there was even a cyclone with a radius of 100 feet. The cyclone sucked in a vast amount of spirit energy and finally poured into Wang Howren's body. Even the other factions within a 100-mile radius were alarmed by this strange phenomenon. When the phenomenon ended, Wang Howren directly entered the 6th level of the Foundation Establishment stage from the 5th level. This kind of improvement was actually not particularly big for Wang Howren, who cultivated the Demon Emperor's internal scripture. But where Wang Howren benefited was not the increase in spirit energy cultivation, but the change in his physique. Wang Howren could clearly feel that even if he didn't do anything, the surrounding spirit chi would automatically enter his body and be converted into spirit chi cultivation. Innate spirit body. This is an innate spirit body. I really didn't expect that a descendant of my Wang family would have an innate spirit body. An old man with white hair and a youthful face walked into the ancestral land excitedly. Chapter 675. Ancestor. Wang Wanli saw the white-haired old man walk into the ancestral land and hurriedly called out respectfully. This old man was undoubtedly the Wang family ancestor who was in seclusion. After noticing the commotion in the ancestral land, he came out of seclusion to check on the situation. Wang Haoran, who was still soaking in the pool, looked at the ancestor and found that he couldn't see through his cultivation. At the same time, the Wang family ancestor also looked at Wang Haoran. Wang Haoran kept most of his spirit energy and only revealed a cultivation of Qi refining stage level 6. The reason why he revealed so much was because after absorbing the mystical energy in the ancestral land, his physique changed and he absorbed a lot of spirit energy. Wang Haoran estimated the amount of spirit energy, which was why he revealed so much of his cultivation. When the Wang family ancestor was sizing him up, Wang Haoran was a little worried that the Wang family ancestor would see through his cultivation. However, after the Wang family ancestor stared for a while, he only maintained the ecstasy he had when he came in and didn't reveal any strange emotions. Obviously, the Wang family ancestor didn't see through Wang Haoran's true cultivation. Wang Haoran secretly let out a sigh of relief. In fact, whether it was Wang Wanli or the Wang family ancestor, Wang Haoran believed that they wouldn't harm him, but he was afraid that they would be too high profile. If his cultivation of Foundation Establishment Stage Level 6 was announced, it wouldn't be good. Wang Haoran had dealt with so many protagonists and knew the importance of hiding one's trump card. If the Wang family ancestor and Wang Wanli knew that he was a Foundation Establishment Stage Level 6, the entire Sacred Realm would know. Naturally, the protagonists of the Sacred Realm would be included. This was definitely not what Wang Haoran wanted to see. Haoran, this is our Wang family's old ancestor. Wang Wanli made a simple introduction. Greetings, ancestor. Wang Haoran greeted him symbolically and then pretended to be confused. What is an innate spirit body? After copying Yi Fan's memory, he obviously knew what an innate spirit body was. However, as a person of the secular world, he shouldn't know these things, so he purposely asked. Cultivators have different levels of innate talent. Disregarding perception and cultivation methods, the only thing that causes the difference is their affinity with spiritual qi. For example, a person with a spiritual qi affinity of 20% would definitely cultivate much faster than a person with a spiritual qi affinity of 10%, explained the Wang family's patriarch. That is to say, the higher the affinity with spirit body establishment stage, innate spirit body establishment stage, the faster cultivation speed. The innate spirit body is a unique top-notch cultivation physique. Its affinity with spirit qi is infinitely close to 100%. Even if you don't actively absorb spirit qi to cultivate, the spirit qi will automatically enter your body and strengthen your cultivation. At this point, the Wang family ancestor was so excited that his old face flushed red. The heavens are really protecting my Wang family. I didn't expect that our Wang family's direct bloodline is so small, but we actually produced such a monstrous genius. It sounds very powerful. Wang Haoran pretended to be surprised, but in his heart, he was thinking. Speaking of which, he shouldn't have the innate talent for cultivation, but after awakening in the ancestral land, he suddenly had an innate spirit body. This should have something to do with the super background card. This was something Wang Haoran didn't expect, and it was a pleasant surprise. He already had the sky-splitting tower, the chaos bottle, and the demon emperor's internal scripture, and now he had an innate spirit body. Wanli informed the sacred region that our Wang clan has an innate spirit body. Our Wang clan is going to have a supreme saint in the future. The Wang clan ancestor ordered. Yes, ancestor, Wang Wanli said excitedly. Also, inform all the major and minor forces in the Eastern Domain to send all their unmarried beauties to the Wang clan so that Haoran can choose his concubines. The Wang clan had very few descendants. The Wang clan's old ancestor was the same as Wang Wanli, wanting to change this situation. and this heavy responsibility undoubtedly fell on Wang Haoran's shoulders. Yes, ancestor. Wang Wanli nodded. There's no need to be so high profile. Won't this offend all the forces in the eastern region? Wang Haoran wanted to persuade. My Wang family has the final say in the entire eastern region. It's their honor to send the beauties of their forces for you to choose. Wang family ancestor said proudly. Wang Haoran was speechless. This Wang family ancestor and Wang Wanli were the same. However, the Wang family was a nest of villains, and it would be strange if the Wang family ancestor was a reasonable person. Haoran, don't be embarrassed. Didn't you come to the sacred region because you know there are many beauties here? I won't blame you, so don't pretend. Wang Wanli thought he saw through Wang Haoran, so he smiled. Okay, then do it as soon as possible. Especially those beauties who came to the sacred region from the secular world, such as the beautiful daughter of the leader of a force who just came back from the secular world. You must send them to me. Wang Haoran didn't hesitate. He came to the sacred region for 3 purposes. One was to inquire about Feng Xian's whereabouts. The second was to search for the female lead. And the third was to attack the protagonist. The Wang family ancestor asked all the forces in the eastern region to send their unmarried beauties for him to choose from. This move was too hateful. Among these unmarried beauties, there was likely to be the female lead. What's more, there might even be Feng Xian among them. And if the villain had designs on the female lead, the protagonist would most likely appear. Although the Wang family ancestor's proposal was arrogant, it was in line with Wang Haoran's several purposes of coming here. In case the situation went wrong and he kicked an iron plate, he could run away alone. Wang Wanli thought about the Wang family ancestor and Wang Haoran's words and immediately rushed out of the ancestral land to do things. The next day, all the famous forces in the eastern region of the sacred region received the news from the Wang family. Among these forces, some were happy, while others were sad. Those forces who wanted to climb up the social ladder felt that this was a great opportunity, and those forces who didn't like the Wang family style were gloomy. Women in the sacred region got married very early. When they reached the right age, some elders who liked to interfere in their daughter's marriage would choose to arrange a marriage for their daughter of equal social status, and then they would get married according to the situation. Other elders were more open-minded and let their daughters freely choose their future partners. But whether they were already engaged or free to choose their sweetheart, they were all in a bad mood after hearing the news. For the forces who wanted to climb up the Wang family was heaven, and for the forces who didn't want to climb up the Wang family was a fire pit. Who would be willing to push their daughter into the fire pit? In the eastern region, a force called the Flying Cloud Pavilion was facing such a dilemma at the moment. The Flying Cloud Pavilion was a first-class force in the eastern region, but compared to the Wang family, it was still much weaker. Therefore, they had to treat the Wang family's order with caution. The pavilion master of the Flying Cloud Pavilion, Su Ao, was frowning at the moment. He had 2 daughters. The elder daughter was called Su Qingxian, who was lost in the secular world and was only found not long ago. The younger daughter was called Su Qingtong, who was 18 years old and unmarried. But whether it was the elder daughter, Su Qingxian, or the younger daughter, Su Qingtong, they both had sweethearts. The Wang family's sudden order naturally made Su Ao worried. Chapter 676. The Flying Cloud Pavilion had been established for many years. As the master of the Flying Cloud Pavilion, Su Ao was very clear about the situation in the eastern region. He had seen with his own eyes what the Wang family had done all these years. In short, the Wang family was definitely not a good person. Su Ao did not want his 2 daughters to enter the fire pit. Su Ao had always felt that he owed these 2 daughters. When his eldest daughter, Su Qingxian, was a few months old, she was accidentally left outside. It was not long ago that he found her, and his youngest daughter, Su Qingtong, was not by his side for a long time. The reason was that he had a conflict with his wife and said something that he should not have said. In a fit of anger, his wife took his youngest daughter away to the secular world. About a year ago, his wife forgave him, and his youngest daughter, Su Qingtong, returned to his side. But in contrast, Su Ao felt the most sorry for his eldest daughter. His eldest daughter was accidentally left behind and was adopted by a poor family. Her life was relatively poor. His youngest daughter had his wife by her side. His wife ran a business in the secular world, and it was very good. Her assets were close to 10 billion, and his youngest daughter had been living the life of a rich young lady. When his two daughters returned to his side, Su Ao hoped to protect them so that they would have no worries in the future. However, he never expected that the Wang family in the eastern region would suddenly send such news. But no matter what, Su Ao did not plan to send his two daughters to the Wang family for the Wang family's young master to choose. Of course, Su Ao was not a brainless person. Of course, he knew that with the strength of the Flying Cloud Pavilion, there was no way they could resist the Wang family. Therefore, he had the idea of calling for external help. In the eastern region, the Flying Cloud Pavilion had some allies. If it was not related to the Wang family, these allies would not get involved in this mess. The only external help that Su Ao could think of now was his daughter's lover. His eldest daughter's lover was from the secular world. According to his eldest daughter, he was a rich young master in the secular world. However, how could a rich young master from the secular world interfere in the affairs of the holy region? Therefore, Su Ao directly ignored his eldest daughter's lover. What was left was his youngest daughter, Su Qingtong's lover. Su Ao had seen this person before. His name was Su Xian, and he was from the secular world. He was once a bodyguard that his wife found for his youngest daughter, Su Qingtong. He was not old, just over 20 years old. After coming to the sanctuary from the secular world, he quickly made a name for himself in the sanctuary. A month ago, a great opportunity had appeared in the eastern region. Su Xian had suppressed the geniuses of all the major forces in the eastern region and became the #1 person among the younger generation in the eastern region. Su Ao knew that he might not be Su Xian's opponent now. With Su Xian's help, the Wang family would definitely think twice. After thinking it through, Su Ao sent someone to inform Su Xian. At this moment, in one of the observation towers of the Flying Cloud Pavilion, two exceptionally beautiful women were chatting while looking at the scenery of the Flying Cloud Pavilion. These two women were Su Qingxian and Su Qingtong. If Wang Haoran was here, he would definitely recognize that this young Miss Su Qingxian of the Flying Cloud Pavilion was actually Fang Xian. Sister, I've never heard you mention your sweetheart before. Tell me more about him. What kind of person is he? Su Qingtong asked her sister. How should I put it? He's not a good person, but he's not particularly bad either, Su Qingxian said. You like him even though he's not a good person? Su Qingtong asked in surprise. He's indeed not a good person, but to me, he's the light in my life. He's the hope he brought to my life. I love him very much. Su Qingxian looked at the sea of clouds in the distance, as if she wanted to penetrate the barrier of space and look somewhere in Qingling. Her eyes were full of tenderness as she murmured, So, I plan to go back to Qingling to look for him after I succeed in my cultivation. From now on, it's my turn to protect him. I want to be the light in his life. I really want to see what this bad guy that my sister likes looks like. Su Qingtong was very curious. Anyway, he's very good-looking. He's the most good-looking man I've ever seen. Su Qingxian smiled. That's because you haven't seen Su Xian. Su Qingtong was a little unconvinced. Really? Su Qingxian smiled and didn't argue with her sister. Instead, she said, Tell me about you and Su Xian. In the beginning, I actually hated him. When I was in the secular world, my mother offended some people in her business. So, she was worried that I would be hurt, so she found me a bodyguard. Su Qingtong was lost in her memories. You don't know. When I first saw Su Xian, I was stunned. I really didn't expect that there would be such a country bumpkin who had just entered the city. If I let such a person follow me as a bodyguard, wouldn't I be laughed at by my classmates? So, I tried all kinds of ways to drive Su Xian away, but I didn't get what I wanted. Then, I met with danger. After listening for a while, Su Qingxian suddenly said, After he saved you a few times, you fell in love with him? Su Qingtong blushed and nodded. Actually, this guy is very good looking. If you dress him up, he's really handsome. It's just that he's a little. At this point, Su Qingtong suddenly paused. Just what? Su Qingxian asked. It's just that he's a little dull in some aspects. Not exactly dull. How should I put it? I don't know how to put it. Su Qingtong said vaguely. How far have you guys developed? Su Qingxian saw something from her sister's expression. At most, we've only held hands. Su Qingtong said strangely. Only held hands? It seems that he's a very pure and loyal person. That's good. Su Qingxian praised. Nonsense. This guy has other women besides me. Su Qingtong couldn't help but roll her eyes. Then do you know how far he's developed with those women? Su Qingxian frowned and asked. Sister, I know what you want to ask. You actually want to ask, is he not interested in me? At first I thought so too. But later I asked them, and they said that at most, they've only held hands with Su Xian. Some of them haven't even held hands with him. Su Qingtong explained. So that's how it is. Then is he? Su Qingxian hesitated. Is he what? Su Qingtong didn't understand. Nothing. Su Qingxian smiled and waved her hand. Oh, I understand. Sister, you want to ask if there's a problem with Su Xian in that aspect? Su Qingtong understood in hindsight. Yes. Hearing her sister's words, Su Qingxian also nodded. There are so many women around him, but he's only holding hands with them. This is not like a normal man at all. Sister, is it normal for two people to do that kind of thing when they're together? Su Qingtong was a little confused. With a curious mind, she asked Su Qingxian for advice. Chapter 677. I'm not saying that kind of thing is normal. It's just that when a relationship reaches a certain level, it's not strange for that kind of thing to happen. Su Qingxian responded to her sister's words and immediately asked, Then do you think that your relationship has reached the point where something can happen? More or less. I'm even mentally prepared, but Su Xian, sigh. Let's not talk about it. Su Qingtong shook her head. Does Su Xian have a problem in that area? Su Qingxian questioned. I don't think so. His cultivation is so high, it's impossible for there to be any problem with his body. Su Qingtong shook her head. I'm not talking about his body, but his mind. Su Qingxian corrected her. Mind? Sister, do you mean that he likes men? Su Qingtong was shocked, but she quickly shook her head. That's impossible. He can't walk when he sees a beauty. How can he like men? That's strange. If there's nothing wrong with his mind and body, how can he leave so many women around him and not touch any of them? Su Qingxian found it very strange. Sister, from what you're saying, you and your boyfriend have already. Su Qingtong began to gossip. No, we're only at the level of holding hands. Su Qingxian immediately denied. However, the blush on her pretty face had already betrayed her. You're still denying it? Why are you blushing? There must be. Su Qingtong said affirmatively. As long as you know, don't talk nonsense. Su Qingxian knew that she couldn't hide it anymore, so she warned. Of course, this is a secret between us sisters. How can I talk nonsense? Su Qingtong promised solemnly, and then with a curious attitude, she asked again, Sister, how did you feel when you and your boyfriend did that? Su Qingxian was speechless for a while and didn't know how to answer. Sister, tell me, I won't tell anyone. Su Qingtong grabbed her arm and shook it, acting coquettishly. You'll know in the future. I won't talk about this with you. Su Qingxian was too ashamed to talk about this. No. Tell me first so that I can be mentally prepared. Su Qingtong insisted. Then promise, you won't tell anyone. Su Qingxian saw that her sister was so curious, so she relaxed. Of course. How could I tell anyone about this? Su Qingtong said. Su Qingxian hesitated for a moment before whispering something into Su Qingtong's ear. Su Qingtong's face turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. Do you understand now? Su Qingxian asked as she straightened her body after whispering into his ear. Su Qingtong's expression kept changing. She was filled with anticipation and fear. She was speechless for a moment. When Su Qingxian saw her sister's expression, she just smiled and didn't say anything. The scene fell into a short period of silence. Not long after, a few disciples came to the observation tower. They were still discussing. Have you heard? The new young master of the Wang family is actually an innate spirit body. Of course I've heard of such a huge matter. The The Wang clan even intentionally announced it. When the new young master awakened his bloodline in the ancestral land, he directly stepped into the saint realm from a mortal. Unlike us, who have only just entered the saint realm after cultivating for more than 20 years. What is the name of the new young master of the Wang clan? Anyway, my surname is Wang. Isn't that obvious? Although I don't know what his name is, everyone in the eastern region now knows that the new young master of the Wang clan is a lecher. That's right. All the forces in the eastern region sent their unmarried beauties to the Wang clan for the new young master to choose from. He's really something. Hey, don't talk about it. First miss and second miss are there. The disciples walked up to the observation tower while discussing. When they saw Su Qingxian and Su Qingtong, they quickly shut up. However, the discussion was so loud that Su Qingxian and Su Qingtong heard all. The two sisters looked at each other and saw the worry in each other's eyes. They hadn't been in the sacred region for long, but they had heard of the Wang clan in the eastern region. The entire eastern region was almost ruled by the Wang clan. Whoever didn't listen to the Wang clan would be prepared to face the Wang clan's wrath. Even if Su Qingxian and Su Qingtong didn't have someone they liked, they wouldn't want to go to a place like the Wang clan. Su Qingxian originally had a good impression of the surname Wang, but now she hated it. Where did this new young master of the Wang clan come from? Su Qingtong was puzzled. Who knows? But the problem now isn't where he came from, but what should we do? Su Qingxian frowned. Don't worry, father won't send us to the Wang clan, Su Qingtong said. Of course I understand, but the Wang clan won't let it go. Su Qingxian looked worried. Don't worry. With Su Xian here, the Wang clan won't be able to do anything to us. After a brief moment of worry, Su Qingtong quickly relaxed and comforted her sister. Is Su Xian so powerful that he can compete with the Wang clan, the overlord of the eastern region? Su Qingxian asked in surprise. Anyway, since I've known this guy, there's nothing he can't handle. This time is no exception. Su Qingtong looked confident. Hearing this, Su Qingxuan's worry didn't lessen. In her opinion, her sister was completely overconfident in Su Xian. No matter how powerful Su Xian was, he was still alone. How could he compete with the Wang clan? At the same time, on a mountain somewhere in the eastern region, spiritual qi shone brightly and shot straight into the sky. A powerful aura quietly bloomed. This strange phenomenon lasted for a few minutes before it stopped. At the top of the mountain, there was a pool of water. A handsome man was soaking in it. After the strange phenomenon disappeared, the man slowly opened his eyes. Deep in his eyes, there was a strong sense of ecstasy. Not long ago, an opportunity appeared here. This mountain was connected to the ley lines, and the spiritual qi of the ley lines was constantly accumulating and gathering in the pool at the top of the mountain. When the geniuses of the various forces in the eastern region fought for the top spot, this man stood out and obtained this opportunity. However, now the spiritual qi in the pool had been exhausted. It would take at least 3 years to gather the spiritual qi again. After 3 years, there would definitely be another fight here. However, that was a story for later. This man was Su Xian. With my current cultivation, even if I face Wang Wanli of the Wang clan, I don't have to be afraid of him. Su Xian clenched his fists and felt the powerful strength in his body. He muttered to himself. Not long ago, when fighting for the opportunity, the young master of the Wang clan was defeated and kicked out by him. He even suffered serious injuries, which was likely to affect his future cultivation. At that time, Wang Wanli said that he wanted Su Xian to join the Wang clan and work for the Wang clan. However, how could Su Xian agree to such a thing? This grudge was formed just like that. Well, not bad. I actually stepped into the first level of the foundation establishment stage. If I use all my trump cards and means, it's unlikely that I can defeat Wang Wanli, but I won't suffer any losses. The ring on Su Xian's finger suddenly flashed with a ray of light, and the shadow of a beautiful woman in red appeared in the air. Chapter 678. Master, you're finally awake. Su Xian looked at the figure in red, and his handsome face was filled with ecstasy. At that time, Su Xian seriously injured the young master of the Wang family and refused Wang Wanli's olive branch. Wang Wanli was naturally furious and wanted to kill Su Xian with thunderous means. Fortunately, Su Xian relied on his master's power to barely resist Wang Wanli's attack. The woman in red had consumed too much energy and therefore fell into a deep sleep. Wang Wanli attacked a junior and failed to hurt Su Xian. In addition, there were so many eyes present, so Wang Wanli was too embarrassed to attack again. Su Xian escaped from the disaster. During the time you were absorbing the spiritual qi here, I also benefited a lot. Otherwise, I wouldn't have woken up so quickly. The woman in red explained. Great. Now even if I meet Wang Wanli, I don't have to be afraid of him. It's even possible to kill him. Su Xian said coldly. I'll definitely pay him back. Don't forget that there's an ancestor of the Wang family above Wang Wanli. Don't be complacent. The woman in red reminded him seriously. Master, you're right. Su Xian smiled. However, you don't have to worry too much. With the help of the spiritual qi here, my divine soul has been repaired to a certain extent. Even if the ancestor of the Wang family really attacks you, I have a way to protect you. The woman in red was afraid that her disciple would be worried, so she added, Really? That's great. Congratulations, Master. Su Xian was overjoyed. Her master was once a powerful immortal cultivator. She was plotted against by her enemy and almost died. Fortunately, she had an acquired treasure called the Sumeru Ring. After her death, the Sumeru Ring preserved her divine soul and existed as a divine soul. By chance, Su Xian obtained the Sumeru Ring. The woman in red saw that Su Xian's talent was good, so she accepted him as her disciple. Su Xian did not disappoint, and his cultivation progressed rapidly. The woman in red could actually reincarnate, but she was not a crossing calamity stage immortal senior. After reincarnation, she might not be able to awaken the memories of her previous life. She was plotted against by someone close to her, so she vowed to take revenge. She accepted Su Xian as her disciple with a hope in her heart. That was, she hoped that Su Xian's cultivation would succeed and rebuild her body in the future. In that case, she wouldn't have to exist in the form of a divine soul. And this kind of alternative reincarnation could preserve all memories to the greatest extent. I must congratulate you as well. You've finally reached the next level of mastery in the profound single qi technique, and your cultivation base has truly entered the foundation establishment stage. You're no longer a beginner cultivator. The woman in red also revealed a somewhat charming smile. Of course, she didn't do it on purpose. She just let it slip. Seeing this, Su Xian's heart suddenly burned. She actually had some special thoughts about this master of hers, but she didn't dare to express them. It's all thanks to Master's teachings, Su Xian replied with a smile. At the same time, he quickly thought of another matter. The Taishan single qi technique was a supreme technique. In the early stages of the technique, there were some drawbacks. One could not get too close to women. Otherwise, there would be serious consequences. But now, his Taishan single qi art had improved greatly, and he was no longer in the early stages. This drawback was gone. Su Xian actually had many women around him. But because of the drawback of the Taishan single qi technique, he had always kept a distance from them. The closest he could get to was just holding hands. In other words, Su Xian could finally do what he had always wanted to do, but didn't dare to do. How could he not be excited? Someone's coming, the woman in red suddenly said. Then, she turned into a stream of light and entered the ring on Su Xian's finger. Not long after, a male disciple wearing the uniform of the Flying Cloud Pavilion appeared at the top of the mountain and walked toward Su Xian. When Su Xian was absorbing the spiritual qi of the earth vein, there was a natural boundary here to prevent outsiders from disturbing him. But as the spiritual qi of the earth vein was exhausted, the natural boundary automatically disappeared. Su Xian had seen this person before. He was a disciple of the Flying Cloud Pavilion and was trusted by his future father-in-law, Su Ao. Young Master Su, the pavilion master invites you to the Flying Cloud Pavilion, the male disciple said respectfully to Su Xian. I was just about to go, Su Xian said with a smile. The person he liked the most was the eldest miss, whom he first met. After the drawbacks of the Taishan single qi technique disappeared, the The first person Su Xian wanted to take revenge was the eldest Mississippi. When he was the bodyguard of the eldest Miss, he had been looked down upon and bullied by so many people. Now, he could finally take revenge. Young Master Su, there's no time to lose. Let's go immediately, the male disciple said eagerly. Did something happen in the Flying Cloud Pavilion? Su Xian saw something from the expression of the male disciple. A new young master of the Wang family came out of nowhere and went to the ancestral land to awaken. He even has the legendary innate spirit body, the male disciple explained. I don't know if the new young master of the Wang family is a reincarnation of a pervert. He actually asked all the forces in the eastern region to send unmarried beauties to the Wang family for him to choose. The eldest Miss and the second Miss are unmarried, so they are naturally included. The pavilion master is worried about this, so he wants to discuss it with you, young Master Su. Su Xian nodded. A cold light flashed in his bright eyes. He and the Wang family had already formed a deep grudge. Now, the new young master of the Wang family even wanted to take his woman. He was simply courting death. The new young master, is it? No matter who you are, you dare to take my woman. Only death awaits you. Su Xian snorted coldly and directly jumped out of the pool. He used spiritual qi to evaporate the water stains on his body. Then he waved his hand and said to the male disciple, "Let's go." A gust of genuine qi wrapped the male disciple and flew quickly in the direction of the Flying Cloud Pavilion. The male disciple was in a trance for a moment. When he came to his senses, he found that he was already in midair. The trees and other things below seemed very small in his field of vision. In his heart, he could not help admiring Su Xian. Young Master Su's cultivation was more than one level higher than before. After all, he was just over 20 years old. Comparing oneself to others was truly exasperating. However, this was a great thing for the Flying Cloud Pavilion. It seemed that the crisis of the Flying Cloud Pavilion could be resolved this time. The second Miss, Su Qingtong, really had good taste. She actually found such an excellent person. On the other hand, the eldest Miss, Su Qingxian, had worse taste. She actually fell for a rich second generation in the secular world. In the secular world, rich second generations were rich, and of course, they could do well. However, in the sanctuary, it was all about who had the biggest fist. Rich second generations were nothing compared to bullshit. How could they be worthy of the eldest Miss of the Flying Cloud Pavilion? In the Flying Cloud Pavilion, many disciples had this idea. He was not the only one. However, these disciples only dared to think these words in their hearts. They did not dare to say it out loud. Achoo! Wang Haoran, who was in the Wang family, suddenly sneezed. Chapter 679. Wang Haoran, who was looking at the scenery from a tall tower in the Wang family, touched his nose, feeling very depressed. He didn't know how many times he sneezed today. Needless to say, there must be a lot of people cursing him behind his back. And the reason, Wang Haoran himself also understood. In a message that the Wang family sent to the major forces in the eastern region, asking them to send unmarried beauties, the wording and comments all indicated that it was the new young master's idea. Now, the people in the eastern region probably all thought that he was a reincarnated pervert. When Wang Haoran thought of this, he couldn't wait to beat Wang Wanli up. He really didn't know whether this old guy did it on purpose or not. This was clearly the Wang family's idea, but the wording of the message became the new young master's idea. Those who were dissatisfied with this would definitely put the blame on him, the new young lord. Cursing him behind his back was a very normal thing. Wang Haoran was even sure that he was targeted by the protagonist, and that the protagonist had made up his mind to kill him. In such a big place like the eastern region, there must be a female lead. His behavior was equivalent to stealing the protagonist's woman. How could the protagonist not be anxious? But then again, he did come to the sacred region to steal the female lead, so it was inevitable that he would run into the protagonist. The protagonist wanted to kill him, and he also wanted to kill the protagonist. Everyone was the same. Who is it? Come out. Wang Haoran sensed that someone was hiding behind the obstacle behind him, so he said lightly. As the voice fell, soon footsteps sounded. Wang Tong greets the young master. Behind him, a young man's voice sounded. Wang Haoran turned around slightly, sizing up this Wang Tong. He saw that his figure and appearance were outstanding, only one grade lower than himself. He could be considered a handsome man with an excellent image. But such an image, coupled with his original identity, undoubtedly attracted the protagonist's hatred. And the facts proved it. This Wang Tong became the protagonist's stepping stone not long ago. I heard that you were the previous young master of the Wang family. Wang Haoran slightly narrowed his eyes. Yes, young lord. Wang Tong nodded. You lost the position of young master for no reason. Are you dissatisfied? Wang Haoran looked at him deeply. Young lord, you are a direct descendant of the Wang clan, and you have awakened the innate spirit body in the ancestral land. You are a genius, and you deserve to be the young lord of the Wang clan. I respect and admire you wholeheartedly, said Wang Tong respectfully. The reason why I hid in the shadows earlier was because I wanted to see your elegance. However, I was afraid that I would disturb your mood, so I didn't dare to show myself. Hearing this, Wang Haoran smiled. When Wang Tong said this, Wang Haoran did not sense any abnormality from Wang Tong. Clearly, what he said was true. However, it was completely normal for Wang Tong to be like this. Wang Tong's image and background were completely that of a villain. Wang Haoran's villain aura had already reached over 40,000 points. Subduing a villain was a simple matter. By the way, I heard that you were defeated in a fight for an opportunity not long ago, and you were seriously injured. What's the name of the person who hurt you? What's his background? Wang Haoran only knew some things about Wang Tong, but he did not know much about him. Now that he saw Wang Tong in person, he took the opportunity to ask. His name is Su Xian. He is from the secular world and is close to the Feiyun Pavilion. He is in a relationship with Su Qingtong, the youngest daughter of the Feiyun Pavilion's leader, Su Ao, replied Wang Tong. Wang Haoran pondered. Su Xian? The name sounded like a protagonist, and he was from the secular world? It seemed that Su Xian was not the kind of protagonist who only cultivated immortality, but a protagonist who cultivated immortality in the middle and late stages. Most of the protagonists Wang Haoran had met before were protagonists who were still in the early and middle stages of the story, but Su Xian's story was obviously in the middle and late stages. As for Su Qingtong, she was undoubtedly the female protagonist. Do you know how Su Xian and Su Qingtong met? How long did they last? Wang Haoran continued to ask. Most of the female protagonists who were in the middle and late stages of the story were mostly taken by the protagonist. Wang Haoran only asked this because he wanted to know if Su Qingtong had been harmed by the protagonist. I don't know much about this. I only know that Su Ao's youngest daughter, Su Qingtong, used to follow her mother in the secular world. About a year ago, Su Qingtong returned to the sacred region. Wang Tong recalled and continued. Not long ago, during the fight for the opportunity, the master of the Feiyun Pavilion, Su Ao, and Su Qingtong stopped him. Only then did I know that Su Xian and Su Qingtong were in a relationship. I don't know how long this relationship lasted. After hearing this, Wang Haoran immediately determined that Su Xian and Su Qingtong met in the secular world. It seemed that Su Qingtong had most likely been taken by the protagonist. Wang Haoran sighed in his heart, and the thought of killing both Su Qingtong and Su Xian rose in his mind. You said that Su Qingtong is the youngest daughter of the Feiyun Pavilion's master, so Su Ao must have an elder daughter? Wang Haoran asked again. Yes, Su Ao has an elder daughter named Su Qingxian. She was lost in the secular world and just returned to the Feiyun Pavilion not long ago. Wang Tong said. Wang Haoran's heart skipped a beat, because Wang Tong's words reminded him of someone, Fang Xian. Fang Xian's biological parents had a complicated background. Su Qingshuan's situation was more compatible with Fang Xian's situation, and both of their names had the word Xian in it. Send a message to the Feiyun Pavilion in my name, and ask them to send me the portraits of Su Qingtong and Su Qingxian. Wang Haoran ordered. Just the portraits? Why not just ask them to come here in person? Wang Tong was a little confused. Do as I say. Wang Haoran did not explain further. The reason why he only asked for the portraits was because he felt that Su Qingxian and Su Qingtong would not be so obedient and come to the Wang family for him to identify them. it was still possible to ask for the portraits. Wang Haoran just wanted to see if this Su Qingxian was Fang Xian and how beautiful that Su Qingtong was. The portraits already satisfied these 2 points, so there was no need to ask them to come here in person. If the portraits were sent and confirmed that Su Qingxian was Fang Xian, then he would go to the Feiyun Pavilion personally. Yes, sir. Wang Tong did not dare to say more and left to do his work. After Wang Tong left, Wang Haoran checked the attributes on the interface with the system. The villain attribute had reached 512,700 points. With so many villain points, it was time to spend a wave of them. When he was in Shanghai, Wang Haoran had the idea of upgrading the charm halo after he failed to use it on Qin Huaiming. The female supporting characters, or the female lead of the Immortal Cultivation School, had relatively high charm halos, and the intermediate charm halo was already out of the question. Now that he was in the Holy Realm, it was inevitable that he would meet the female lead of the Immortal Cultivation School. It was necessary to upgrade the charm halo. Wang Haoran gritted his teeth and spent 200,000 villain points to upgrade the intermediate charm halo to the advanced charm halo. Chapter 680. Ding! The host has consumed 200,000 villain points and has successfully upgraded the intermediate charm halo to advanced charm halo. Wang Haoran quickly received a message and immediately checked the changes brought by the advanced charm halo. The advanced charm halo was the same as the intermediate charm halo. It had a passive and active effect. The passive effect was to directly raise the charm attribute to 999 points. After reaching 999 points, it would be easy to gain the affection of female characters. When wooing a female character, the success rate was 99%. The active effect could be used on the female lead, female supporting lead, and other female characters. The cooldown was 72 hours. When used on the female supporting lead and other female characters, it would ignore the female supporting lead aura and directly raise their affection towards the host to 100 points. When used on the female lead, there were 2 situations. There's a 30% chance that the unattached female lead's favorability towards the host will increase to 100 points. There is a 30% chance that the female lead will fall in love with someone else, and the female lead's favorability towards the host will increase to 70, undying affection. The advanced charm halo was quite unreasonable. For the female supporting lead, it was a trump card, but for the female lead, it depended on the probability. Things like probability were really hard to predict. Wang Haoran had already seen this point. But even so, the passive effect of the halo raising the charm to 999 points was still very useful. As long as he took the initiative to woo the female lead, there was a 99% chance of getting her. It would just take some time. All in all, the 200,000 villain points were well spent. Wang Haoran wanted to try out the effects of the charm halo. At this time, a Wang family disciple came to pass on a message, saying that some factions had already sent beauties over. When Wang Haoran heard this, he excitedly followed the disciple to the living room. In the living room, there were about 20 to 30 beauties dressed in ancient clothing. Some of them were talking about something, making the living room very noisy. The young master has arrived. Silence. A Wang family disciple spoke up to maintain order. In the living room, the chatter quickly stopped. The beauties stood in a row in the living room. These beauties all turned their gazes towards the immortal-like man who walked into the hall. Their gazes were fixed on him after a single glance. Wang Haoran sat down at the head of the table in the living room. He wanted to take a look and see if there was anyone who looked like the female lead. However, before he could take a few glances, a bold beauty introduced herself and expressed her willingness to be his wife. With someone taking the lead, the others also scrambled to be the first to follow suit. They even flocked to Wang Haoran's side and took the initiative to flatter him. Wang Haoran had never encountered such a situation before. Although his identity as the young master of the Wang clan was impressive, it wasn't enough for these beauties to be so passionate about him. Obviously, this was the effect of the advanced charm aura as passive effect, which increased charm by 999. It was just that he couldn't handle the enthusiasm of these people. It was one thing for these women to flirt with him, but they even tried to take advantage of him. How preposterous! Wang Haoran immediately shouted and asked everyone to stand quietly. Seeing that Wang Haoran was angry, these beauties didn't dare to cross the line and stood obediently. Wang Haoran looked at them one by one and found that none of them were stunning beauties. Needless to say, there was definitely no female lead among them. Since they came to him so quickly, they were probably the kind who wanted to climb up the social ladder. Wang Haoran wasn't interested in these kinds of women, so he wanted to send them away. When the beauties heard Wang Haoran's words, the living room was soon filled with sorrowful cries. Some of them expressed their willingness to be maids in the Wang clan, as long as they could stay in the Wang clan. However, these women all had a certain background and status. They all had a certain status in their respective factions. They were either the daughters of the leaders of the forces or the daughters or granddaughters of the elders in the forces. The people from their respective forces who accompanied them forcibly took them away. It was fine to be the wife of the young master of the Wang clan, but to be a maid of the Wang clan was really embarrassing. Although the young master of the Wang clan had a rare cultivation physique, he had never cultivated in the secular world before, so it was hard to say whether he had the ability to comprehend. What if the young master of the Wang clan didn't have the ability to comprehend and sat on a mountain of treasures without being able to dig for them? Wouldn't that be a loss for their daughters or granddaughters? After all, it was only being a maid of the Wang clan. Did it sound very honorable? If the young master of the Wang clan was the strongest person in the younger generation of the eastern region, then it was fine. Flying Cloud Pavilion. Su Xian and the disciple who sent the message rushed to the Flying Cloud Pavilion. Su Ao brought Su Qingtong, Su Qingxian, and some important members of the Flying Cloud Pavilion to personally welcome them. Uncle Su, there's no need to make such a big scene, right? Su Xian said to Su Ao with a smile. You're the future son-in-law of the Flying Cloud Pavilion. It's only right. Su Ao looked at Su Xian with satisfaction. He quickly sensed that Su Xian's spiritual energy cultivation had increased a lot compared to the last time they met. You're already in the 11th level Sage Realm? With such a great opportunity, it would be a joke if I didn't reach the 11th level Sage Realm, Su Xian said half-jokingly. According to his master, the 11th level Sage Realm was the first level of the Foundation Establishment Realm. After reaching this level, one would be no longer in the category of entry-level cultivators. Congratulations. Su Ao looked at Su Xian with a smile. The more he looked, the more satisfied he was. After greeting Su Ao, Su Xian looked around and quickly found Su Qingtong's figure in the crowd. He walked over to Su Qingtong. You haven't seen me for so long. Did you miss me? Su Xian teased. I eat and sleep well every day. Why would I miss you? Su Qingtong said coldly. Su Xian smiled. He was already used to Su Qingtong's attitude. She was just pretending to be cold. In her heart, she missed him very much. She was just too embarrassed to say it. Su Xian wanted to continue teasing her, but a beautiful woman beside him attracted his attention. After looking at her for a while, Su Xian even saw some tears at the corner of her mouth. Su Qingxian frowned. Hey, what are you looking at? This is my sister. Her name is Su Qingxian. She has a boyfriend. Give up. Su Qingtong saw Su Xian's lecherous look and knew what he was thinking. She has a boyfriend. Su Xian's joy faded a lot. He was very regretful. However, he quickly pulled himself together and said to Su Qingxian, Sister, do you mind changing your boyfriend? I mind. Su Qingxian said coldly. May I ask who your boyfriend is? Su Xian continued to ask. Su Qingxian didn't answer. She couldn't be bothered with him. Su Qingtong said, Sister's boyfriend is also from the secular world. He's a very handsome, rich young master. Oh, a rich second generation. Su Xian sighed. He hated rich second generations the most. There were at least 8 of them who had died in his hands. Chapter 681. Sister, I've seen a lot of rich second-generation heirs. I can tell you for sure that none of them are good. You should leave him as soon as possible and be with me. I'm very reliable. If you don't believe me, you can ask Qingtong. Su Xian tried to persuade her. You're so rude. If it weren't for the fact that you're my sister's lover, I wouldn't even bother to talk to you. Don't push your luck. Su Qingshuan's pretty face turned cold. I'm doing this for your own good. Why are you still angry? Su Xian curled his lips. Su Xian, that's enough. Su Qingtong heard Su Xian's words and felt a little uncomfortable. She couldn't help but scold him. Okay, I won't say any more. Seeing that Su Qingtong was really angry, Su Xian hurriedly said. But after he finished speaking, he added, I'll say one last thing. Sister, my words are always effective. If you regret it, you can come to me. You can rely on my arm at any time. Su Qingxian frowned and turned to leave. Sister, Su Qingtong called, but Su Qingxian acted as if she didn't hear her. Su Xian, are you crazy? It's fine if you talk nonsense to other women, but how can you talk nonsense to my sister? Su Qingtong complained. I'm doing this for her own good. Rich second-generation heirs are really bad. Don't you know how many times you've been targeted by rich second-generation heirs? If she wasn't your sister, I wouldn't have said this. Su Xian didn't feel that there was anything wrong with his words. Even if he's not a good person, my sister likes him. That's enough. You don't have to worry about it. Su Qingtong scolded. I'm just afraid that your sister will be abandoned. It's really out of good intentions. Su Xian explained. Come on, I think you're just lusting after my sister's beauty. Are you thinking in your heart that you want us sisters to serve you together? Stop dreaming. Su Qingtong snorted. Su Xian was secretly surprised that his thoughts were exposed. Okay, don't stand outside. Please come in. Su Ao came out to smooth things over. To be honest, he was actually very dissatisfied with the lover of his eldest daughter, Su Qingxian, but he respected his eldest daughter's wishes and didn't interfere. Relatively speaking, he was actually more willing to let his eldest daughter follow Su Xian. It was normal for men to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. Su Xian was now the number one of the younger generation in the eastern region. His future was limitless. If his eldest daughter followed him, she would not be bullied. However, Su Ao did not intend to voice out these thoughts. At that time, he felt that it was natural for a man to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. He wanted to take in concubines, so his wife ran away in anger. If he said those words and his wife found out, he would be in big trouble. Although his wife had allowed his daughter to return to his side, his wife was still in the secular world. Clearly, she was still angry. Su Ao was still hoping to reconcile with his wife. Being alone in an empty bed for so many years, it was really quite lonely. Su Ao invited Su Xian into the living room of the Flying Cloud Pavilion. As soon as the maids served tea, a disciple reported that the Wang family's envoy had arrived. Su Ao was a little nervous, but he still asked the disciples to invite the Wang family's messenger in. However, to Su Ao's surprise, the Wang family's messenger did not come to take Su Qingxian and Su Qingtong to the Wang family. He just asked for their portraits according to the instructions of the Wang family's young master. Su Ao did not know what he meant, but he still did as he was told. He was going to find a painter to draw a portrait of each of his 2 daughters and let the Wang family's messenger bring it back to the Wang family's young master. However, before Su Ao could speak, Su Xian directly attacked and killed the Wang family's messenger. Su Xian, aren't you completely falling out with the Wang family by doing this? Su Ao was shocked. Uncle Su, then I want to ask, are you going to send your 2 daughters to the Wang family? Su Xian asked. Of course not. Su Ao said decisively. Since you won't, isn't that falling out with the Wang family? Uncle Su must know the Wang family style better than I do. Su Xian said. After hearing this, Su Ao nodded in agreement. It was actually a matter of time before they completely fell out with the Wang family. Su Xian just brought this matter forward. In fact, the difference was not big. Su Ao took a deep breath and immediately summoned the disciples. He ordered everyone to guard the mountain gate to prevent the Wang family from sending people to attack. Uncle Su, you don't have to worry too much. Since I dared to kill the Wang family's messenger, I'm not afraid of the Wang family causing trouble. Su Xian said calmly. Oh, Su Ao's eyes lit up. Of course, he could hear the confidence in Su Xian's words. Based on his understanding of Su Xian, he knew that Su Xian was not a boastful person. Since he said so, he must have something to rely on. It seemed that Su Xian was definitely not as simple as he looked on the surface. But the Wang family's ancestor, Su Ao, wanted to test Su Xian's bottom line. So he said tentatively, "Even if the Wang family's ancestor comes personally, I have the law to check and balance. As for Wang Wanli, leave it to me. Uncle Su, you deal with the other experts of the Wang family." Su Xian said. When Su Ao heard this, he was relieved. If the Wang family's ancestor and Wang Wanli were restrained, then the rest of the Wang family would not be able to stop him. At that time, it would be like a tiger entering a flock of sheep. The Wang family would definitely suffer heavy losses and return in defeat. In the end, I underestimated you. Since you said so, then let's go all out and fight with the Wang family. The Wang family has been domineering in the eastern region for so long. It's time for them to pay the price. Su Ao was relieved and said loudly. After seeing Su Ao's attitude, Su Xian nodded in satisfaction. He looked at the Wang family's emissary who was lying on the ground and had his head crushed by his palm. Suddenly, an idea popped up in his mind. Wang family. Wang Wanli was telling Wang Haoran about some matters related to cultivation. Wang Haoran listened in all kinds of ways. Master, young master, Flying Cloud Pavilion sent something over. Wang Tong carried a box and walked forward to report. What's inside? Wang Haoran asked with a frown. He asked Flying Cloud Pavilion to send the portraits of Su Qingxian and Su Qingtong, but this square box clearly did not look like it was used to store portraits. I've already checked. Inside is... Wang Tong wanted to say something, but stopped. Seeing him dilly-dallying, Wang Haoran was too lazy to ask and directly used his X-ray vision to take a look. When he saw clearly what was inside the box, he could not help but be shocked. What did Flying Cloud Pavilion send? Wang Wanli asked in confusion. Wang Tong opened the box and faced Wang Wanli's position. What does Flying Cloud Pavilion mean by this? Why do they send a head over? Also, who is this person? Wang Wanli still did not know about the portraits. Master, this person is a disciple of the Wang family. He went to Flying Cloud Pavilion on behalf of the young master to ask for the portraits of Su Qingxian and Su Qingtong. Flying Cloud Pavilion just sent someone to deliver the box, saying it's a gift from Su Xian to the young master. Wang Tong explained with a trembling voice. Wang Haoran narrowed his eyes. Damn it, he had not even met this Su Xian yet, and he had already sent such a gift. How much did Su Xian hate him? How preposterous! The Soaring Cloud Pavilion is simply going too far. Wang Tong, pass on my order. Gather people to flatten Flying Cloud Pavilion and tear Su Xian to pieces. Wang Wanli was furious and smashed the tea table beside him into pieces. Chapter 682. Yes, sir. Wang Tong immediately responded and couldn't wait to gather his men. Not long ago, he was defeated by Su Xian in the fight for the opportunity. He also suffered some serious injuries, which might affect his future cultivation progress. Naturally, he hated Su Xian very much. Now that there was such a good opportunity for revenge, Wang Tong was very excited. Wang Haoran looked thoughtfully at Wang Tong, who excitedly left to gather people, and Wang Wanli, who was still in a violent rage. According to the normal routine, Wang Wanli and Wang Tong would most likely not get any benefits from the Flying Cloud Pavilion. There was even a certain possibility that they would not come back alive. With that thought in mind, Wang Haoran suggested to Wang Wanli, I think it's better to call the old ancestor. It's safer. It's just the Flying Cloud Pavilion. I'll go personally with many experts of the Wang family. It's absolutely safe. There's no need to trouble the old ancestor. Wang Wanli said confidently. Wang Haoran saw the old man's face and felt depressed. In the past few days in the Wang family, he also learned a lot of things. In the previous fight for the opportunity, Wang Wanli actually failed to kill Su Xian after attacking in anger. This proved that Su Xian definitely had a trump card. If Wang Wanli led the team, it was impossible to win. I heard from Wang Tong that in the last fight for the opportunity, you only slightly injured Su Xian. You couldn't kill him in one fell swoop. Is that true? Wang Haoran said. Yes. Speaking of this, I also feel strange. Although I used 50% of my cultivation, it's reasonable to say that Su Xian can't resist. Wang Wanli heard Wang Haoran mention this matter and suddenly calmed down a little. This Su Xian is not simple. If you go, you probably won't get any benefits. Not to mention there's also Su Ao. Wang Haoran reminded. No matter how powerful Su Xian is, he's just a fledgling boy. As for Su Ao, what is he? Even if the two of them come together, I'm confident that I can kill them. Wang Wanli became arrogant again. Wang Haoran frowned and wanted to scold this old man. No wonder the villains were always unable to deal with the protagonists. Not only were they not very bright, but they were also very prideful and arrogant. In that fight for the opportunity, after Wang Wanli's attack on Su Xian did not achieve the desired result, he was actually afraid of being ridiculed, so he stopped. If Wang Wanli had been a little more ruthless at that time, Su Xian would not have jumped like this now. Now that Su Xian had obtained that opportunity, his strength would definitely soar. According to Wang Tong's description, Su Xian was already in the 9th Heaven True Saint realm at that time. It wasn't strange for him to reach the 11th Heaven True Saint realm with this opportunity. The 11th level Sage realm was the first level of the Foundation Establishment stage in the Immortal Cultivation realm. Su Xian's strength had undergone a qualitative change. Coupled with the fact that the main character was able to fight beyond his level, Su Xian's true combat power was probably comparable to that of a level 5 Foundation Establishment stage cultivator. He could even fight evenly with Wang Wanli. What's more, Wang Wanli might not even be able to beat Su Xian. It was the same for Su Xian and Yi Fan. The reason why Wang Haoran was so sure of this was because after he replicated Yi Fan's memories, he was also able to fight above his level. Yi Fan's memories contained all of Yi Fan's cultivation methods and immortal arts. With these, Wang Haoran, who is only at the 6th level of the Foundation Establishment stage, could compete with ordinary cultivators at the peak of the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment stage. Although Wang Wanli was at level 5 Foundation Establishment stage, it was still a question whether he could not deal with Su Xian. Coupled with Su Ao, if Wang Wanli really led the team to the Flying Cloud Pavilion, Wang Haoran felt that he could really prepare a coffin for this old man. Call the Patriarch. I want to go too. Otherwise, I won't be the young master anymore. Wang Haoran couldn't be bothered to persuade this old man and directly threatened him. Haoran! Wang Wanli was stunned. I have a feeling that this matter won't be so simple. Moreover, even a lion will use all its strength to catch a rabbit. Don't let your guard down and fail miserably, Wang Haoran said. This, all right, Wang Wanli agreed. In a pavilion in the Flying Cloud Pavilion. After Su Qingxian and Su Qingtong heard that Su Xian killed the Wang family's messenger, they also knew that the Flying Cloud Pavilion and the Wang family would fight. At this moment, they were worried. Although the two of them hadn't been in the eastern region for long, they had heard of the Wang family's tyranny from many disciples of the Flying Cloud Pavilion. It was hard to say whether the Flying Cloud Pavilion could survive this disaster. Sister, there's no trouble that Su Xian can't solve. Nothing will happen. Su Qingtong was also worried. These words were to comfort Su Qingxian and herself. I hope so. Su Qingxian sighed. Qingtong, so you're here. I've been looking for you everywhere. Su Xian walked over from afar. He came to the pavilion and smiled at Su Qingtong. The Wang family is about to come to our door. How can you still smile? Su Qingtong complained. Why are you looking for me? I haven't seen you in a long time. I miss you. Come with me. I'll take you to a place. Su Xian looked mysterious, and a wretched look flashed across his eyes. Su Xian had this idea before, but because of the drawbacks of the Tai Xian single chi technique, he had been forcibly restraining himself. Now that his cultivation had improved, the drawbacks of the Tai Xian single chi technique were gone. Su Xian naturally had this idea. It was still daytime, but he already couldn't hold back. Do you want to take me to see the scenery? But I'm really not in the mood now. Let's talk about it, after the Wang family's matter. Su Qingtong didn't see through Su Xian's real thoughts. I told you, don't worry about the Wang family. Didn't I solve every crisis in the past? This time is no exception. Trust me. Come with me. I'll take you to a good place. Su Xian insisted. Su Qingtong hesitated and looked at her sister. I don't need you to accompany me. If you want to go, then go. Su Qingxian also thought that Su Xian was taking her sister to see the scenery or something. Naturally, she wouldn't stop him. Well, I'll go with Su Xian. Sister, Don't think too much. Su Qingtong stood up. After speaking to Su Qingxian, she prepared to leave the pavilion with Su Xian. But just as she took a few steps, a horn suddenly sounded, echoing inside and outside the Flying Cloud Pavilion. This is the signal of an enemy invasion. Su Qingtong stopped and listened for a few seconds. She was shocked. The Wang family came quite quickly. Su Xian was annoyed, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He originally thought that the Wang family wouldn't act so quickly, so he wanted to trick Su Qingtong into going to a deserted place and then eat her. But the Wang family was too annoying. At this time, they actually disturbed his good fortune. Su Xian could only temporarily dismiss the idea of taking Su Qingtong to a deserted place. Anyway, Su Qingtong was his, and she wouldn't run away. There was no need to rush. Qingtong, you and sister find a place to hide. Don't wander around. I'll go out and fight the enemy, Su Xian instructed. Su Qingxian and Su Qingtong were both in the secular world and didn't cultivate much. Their cultivation was still lacking, and they didn't have much strength. In this confrontation with the Wang family, they couldn't help. Not causing trouble was the greatest help. Chapter 683. At the Flying Cloud Pavilion's gate, a large group of Wang family members had gathered. The Flying Cloud Pavilion's disciples were all pale. The Wang family's strength was deeply ingrained in everyone's heart. The Wang family suddenly gathered a large group of people, and it looked like they were going to destroy the Flying Cloud Pavilion. These Flying Cloud Pavilion disciples were naturally very worried. But fortunately, no one ran away. They still braced themselves and stood at the gate. At the front of the Wang family members, Wang Wanli lowered his voice and asked Wang Haoran, "Haoran, why don't you just attack and catch them off guard? I think the source of this is Su Xian. If we can kill Su Xian, perhaps we won't have to start a war with the Flying Cloud Pavilion. After all, if we really do fight, casualties are inevitable. You don't want to see the Wang family members get killed, right?" Wang Haoran explained in a low voice. That Su Qingxian might very well be Fang Xian. Wang Haoran naturally wouldn't let the Wang family members start a war with the Flying Cloud Pavilion directly. What if Su Qingxian was Fang Xian? Wouldn't that be very awkward? Moreover, there was no enmity between him and the Flying Cloud Pavilion. He only wanted to deal with the main character, Su Xian. Wang Haoran spread out his perception and quickly discovered that there were some factions watching them from afar. Wang Haoran could completely guess that if the Wang family was defeated in this battle with the Flying Cloud Pavilion, then these factions would definitely join the Flying Cloud Pavilion side and destroy the Wang family together. Similarly, if the Flying Cloud Pavilion was defeated, these factions would join the Wang family side and fight against the Flying Cloud Pavilion in order to gain the Wang family's friendship. In short, these were fence-sitters. Not long after, Su Ao and Su Xian hurried to the gate. "Su Ao, how dare you allow Su Xian to kill my Wang clan's emissary?" Wang Wanli shouted. "Wang, so what if I killed him? I'll kill every Wang family member I see." Su Ao was about to reply, but Su Xian interrupted him. "Preposterous. Disciples of the Wang family, listen up. Trample the Flying Cloud Pavilion." Wang Wanli was furious and was about to give the order. "You are Su Xian?" Wang Haoran interrupted Wang Wanli's words. Wang Wanli was startled. Only then did he remember what Wang Haoran had just said. It was best to target Su Xian alone. After being interrupted, he did not continue to speak. Su Xian looked at the person who spoke and couldn't help but be surprised. In his entire life, this was the first time he had seen such a good-looking man. It was as if an immortal had descended upon the world. But after being surprised, Su Xian suddenly felt displeased. Of course, he hated men who were more handsome than him. "What are you, the new young master of the Wang family?" Su Xian sneered. "Impudent. You're not allowed to insult our young master." Wang Tong angrily rebuked. "Loser, you have no right to speak here." Su Xian's face was full of disdain. "You." Wang Tong gnashed his teeth. Wang Haoran laughed in his heart when he heard Su Xian's words. This Su Xian was young and impetuous. He was not as steady as Yi Fan at all. He was much easier to deal with than Yi Fan. Wang Haoran ignored Su Xian for the time being. He looked at Su Ao and said, Senior Su, I suspect that your eldest daughter Su Qingxian is my lover in the secular world. I spread the news and asked the forces in the eastern region to send over their beauties just to find her. After clearing his name, Wang Haoran continued. Later, I learned that she was most likely the eldest daughter of the Feiyun Pavilion, so I sent someone to ask for the portrait. Was it your idea to kill the messenger of the Wang family, or Su Xian's idea? Hearing this, Su Ao looked at the new young master of the Wang family and was also stunned by his appearance. But what surprised him more was the words of the new young master of the Wang family. When he learned that the new young master of the Wang family asked the forces in the eastern region to send over their beauties, he did not have a good impression of the new young master of the Wang family. But when he heard the reason behind it, he was naturally quite surprised. Uncle Su, do you believe his kind of words? He must be lying, Su Xian said to Su Ao. Su Ao did not immediately respond to Su Xian. As the pavilion master of the Feiyun Pavilion, Su Ao had his own way of doing things, unlike Su Xian, who was completely unscrupulous. If what the new young master of the Wang family said was true, then this was simply a misunderstanding. You know my eldest daughter, Qingxian? Su Ao asked. May I ask if her original name is Fang Xian? She has a younger brother named Fang Heng, who is now in a mental hospital. Wang Haoran said, Yes, you're the one Qingxian likes, the rich young master? Su Ao nodded. I came to the sacred region from the secular world for a few days. When I was in the secular world, I was indeed a rich young master. Fang Xian was my mother's secretary. If you still don't believe me, you can ask Fang Xian to come out and meet me, Wang Haoran said. Hearing this, Su Ao was almost convinced. He was ready to send a disciple to ask his eldest daughter to come out. Uncle Su, you mustn't. This guy must have heard about Qingxian from somewhere, so he wants you to call Qingxian out. When the time comes, he can control Qingxian and use her to blackmail you. Su Xian hurriedly tried to persuade him. But I can see that this person's words are sincere. He doesn't seem to be lying. Su Ao was quite good at reading people. In all these years, he had never misjudged anyone. Moreover, this new young master of the Wang family's appearance really made people have a good impression of him. Such a good-looking person couldn't be a bad person, right? All is fair in war. This young master of the Wang family is obviously not a good person. You can't believe his words. Su Xian insisted. Hearing this, Su Ao frowned, because Su Xian's words were obviously a little extreme. He was deliberately targeting the new young master of the Wang family. Wang Haoran continued, Senior Su, it doesn't matter if you don't believe me, but you're Fang Xian's father. I respect you very much. Bringing the Wang family's people to the Flying Cloud Pavilion this time, it's not targeting the Flying Cloud Pavilion, let alone targeting you. As long as I want to find Su Xian to demand justice, there are so many pairs of eyes in the eastern region watching. Right and wrong, there will naturally be a public opinion. Hearing this Wang family's young master speak appropriately, Su Ao's favorable impression of him increased greatly in his heart. As a faction in the righteous camp, Su Ao was still very reasonable. If what Wang Haoran said was true, then it was completely Su Xian who was in the wrong. After all, Su Xian did not even ask clearly at that time and directly killed the Wang family's envoy. A Wang family's envoy. Why is there a need to muster so many people? Why not turn hostility into friendship? Su Ao really wanted to mediate the conflict. This Wang family's young master was most likely his eldest daughter's lover. Like Su Xian, he might be his son-in-law in the future. Su Ao could not side with either side and could only mediate. Senior Su, is that Wang family's envoy's life not a life? Isn't he born and raised by his parents? Wang Haoran asked rhetorically. Su Ao was suddenly speechless and could not refute. Seeing this, Su Xian was annoyed with Su Ao in his heart. Immediately, he said to Wang Haoran, You said so much. Isn't it just to drive a wedge between Uncle Su and me? Now you've achieved your goal. Even if I'm alone, why should I be afraid of your Wang family? Don't worry, we won't bully you with numbers. Wang Haoran smiled faintly. Kid, give me your life. Seeing that Wang Haoran had resolved the conflict with the Flying Cloud Pavilion and isolated Su Xian, Wang warmly attacked Su Xian. Chapter 684. Old Fart, Bring It On. Facing Wang Wanli's attack, Su Xian was not afraid at all. He rose into the air and met Wang Wanli's palm in the air. The two palms collided, and there was an explosion. With the two as the center, the area within a radius of a few miles was turned into a real zone. The strong wind caused by the turbulence of the air blew the corners of the clothes of the people below. At the same time, Wang Wanli stepped into the void and took 3 steps back. On the other hand, Su Xian took 5 steps back. Wang Wanli could not help but turn pale with fright. Although he had the upper hand, he could have easily defeated Su Xian not long ago. He did not expect that Su Xian would have the strength to fight him in such a short time. Kid, I should have killed you at that time. Wang Wanli regretted. Old Fart, it's too late to say that now. Su Xian smiled proudly. It's not too late to kill you now. Wang Wanli sneered. Spiritual energy and divine light emerged from his body as he attacked Su Xian. Su Xian was not afraid and stepped forward to meet the attack. The 2 streaks of light collided in the air. Every time they collided, there would be a loud bang. The people below were all dumbfounded. Wang Wanli was a top expert in the eastern region who had been famous for a long time. He was also in the 16th Heaven Saint realm. Su Xian had emerged in the eastern region in less than a year, but he was actually on par with Wang Wanli. Wang Haoren also raised his head slightly and looked at the battle in the air. There was no change in his expression. He had long expected such a situation. As the protagonist, Su Xian fighting above his level was a normal thing. After the 2 people in the air fought for a while, they suddenly retreated and stood at opposite ends of the air. Wang Wanli's face was full of shock. He had almost used all his strength, but he could not do anything to Su Xian. Su Xian's growth was too fast, and Wang Wanli felt a strong threat. Wang Wanli felt some admiration for his great-grandson's foresight. If he had only brought people here to destroy the Flying Cloud Pavilion, it seemed that he would most likely die here. Fortunately, he listened to Wang Haoren and called the strongest battle force of the Wang family. However, before Wang Wanli could ask for help, an ethereal sigh sounded in the void. Sigh, I really didn't expect such a genius to appear in the eastern region. How great would it be if he was a disciple of my Wang family? As the voice rang out, a figure slowly appeared in the air. This person's hair and beard were all white, but his face was that of a young man. Wang Haoren's face darkened when he heard this. The meaning behind the Wang family's ancestors' words was clearly that he felt that no one in the younger generation of the Wang family could compare to Su Xian, which was why he sighed. However, Wang Haoren was not in a hurry to prove anything, because he guessed that Su Xian still had another trump card. He would let the 2 old men go first and figure out Su Xian's background. It wouldn't be too late to make a move after confirming that Su Xian wasn't a threat to him. If things went south and the 2 old men couldn't win, and he couldn't change the situation, then he would have to run away alone. After thinking it through, Wang Haoren quietly observed the situation. Wang family patriarch. Someone below recognized the old man and immediately cried out in shock. Su Ao's pupils also shook. The Wang family's ancestor had been in seclusion for many years and hadn't appeared in front of others for a long time. Unexpectedly, he actually came in person this time. No matter how powerful Su Xian was, he couldn't be a match for the Wang family's ancestor, right? Thinking so, Su Ao said to Wang Haoren, Su Xian is Qing Tong's lover, and you're also Qing Xuan's lover. In the future, you might be a family. Why make things so tense? Is there no room for negotiation? Since Senior Su said so, of course I have to give this face. However, this depends on Su Xian's intention. Wang Haoren replied. Tell me about it. Su Ao hurriedly asked. If Su Xian is willing to wear mourning clothes for the Wang family's disciple who died tragically and keep vigil for 7 days, this matter can be written off. A life is gone, and you only want Su Xian to do such a thing. This isn't too much, right? Wang Haoren said something that Su Xian would never agree to. He said that he was giving face to Su Ao, but he never thought of letting Su Xian go. He was just giving face to his future father-in-law. Su Xian, what do you think? Su Ao felt that this was a turning point, so he asked Su Xian, who was in the air. Absolutely not. Su Xian said firmly. Su Ao was stunned. Senior Su? You heard it, right? Wang Howren said. Su Ao sighed and no longer said anything to dissuade him. This young master of the Wang family was his eldest daughter's lover, and Su Xian was his youngest daughter's lover. He was caught in the middle and couldn't help anyone. All he could do was mediate the conflict. Now that he couldn't mediate, there was nothing he could do. He could only stay out of it and not help either side. Young man, if you are willing to join the Wang family and change your surname, I can consider not killing you. I'll even nurture you. What do you think? The Wang family's ancestor floated in the air and looked at Su Xian, who was dozens of feet away. I can consider it, but I have a condition. Su Xian sneered. What condition? The Wang family's ancestor asked subconsciously. Su Xian pointed at Wang Howren's position below. Kill him, and I will consider joining the Wang family. The Wang family's ancestor's eyes flashed coldly. Young man, you are playing with me. Old man, you guessed it right. Su Xian grinned and called for help. Master, if you don't come out, I might be beaten to death. As Su Xian's words fell, a stream of light flew out from Su Xian's ring and condensed into the image of a beautiful woman in red in the air. A powerful divine soul fluctuation floated out from the illusory woman's figure. Wang Howren was stunned for a few seconds when he saw it. Su Xian's trump card was actually a portable grandpa? No, it should be a portable grandma. It didn't seem accurate because this illusory woman was too beautiful. She was most likely the female lead. Su Xian respectfully called him master, but his filial piety must have changed. The Wang family's ancestor looked at the illusory woman's figure and felt the powerful divine soul fluctuation from her body. His face turned serious. No wonder you were able to withstand my attack last time. It turns out that you had the help of this divine soul. Wang Wanli saw this scene and suddenly remembered something. Old man, you guessed it right, but there is no reward. Su Xian teased. You brat, I will tear you into pieces. Wang Wanli said ruthlessly, but it was just a show of strength. He didn't attack immediately, but looked at the Wang family's ancestor. Young man, you really make me feel threatened. Since you are not willing to join the Wang family, I will not let you live. The Wang family's ancestor's eyes were filled with killing intent. This person is very strong. My divine soul is not suitable for a long battle. Find a chance to run. The illusory woman said to Su Xian. Got it, Su Xian replied via voice transmission. At this moment, the Wang family's ancestor and Wang Wanli both attacked. The mysterious woman in red blocked the Wang family's ancestor while Su Xian fought with Wang Wanli. Su Xian should be out of trump cards, right? It's my turn to fight. Wang Howren said in his heart. In midair, Su Xian remembered his master's instructions. Although he looked like he was going all out with Wang Wanli, he found a gap. After exchanging palm strikes with Wang Wanli, he took advantage of the momentum and flew towards the Wang family disciples below. Howren dodged. Wang Wanli was shocked and instantly determined what Su Xian wanted to do. This brat wants to take Wang Howren as a hostage. Wang Howren, who was looking for a chance to attack, found it funny. In an instant, Su Xian was already in front of Wang Howren. Wang Tong's reaction was the fastest. He pulled out his long sword and blocked in front of Wang Howren. However, he was pushed back by Su Xian's palm, and the long sword in his hand was knocked away. Su Xian bent his fingers into a claw, wanting to grab Wang Howren. Wang Howren's lips curled up slightly, and his hand clenched. Suddenly, he shouted, Sword come! Wang Tong's long sword flew into Wang Howren's hand. Spiritual energy rose like a mountain, rushing to the sky. A dazzling sword light slashed towards Su Xian. Chapter 685. After Su Xian pushed Wang Tong away, he was only 10 steps away from Wang Howren. It sounded far, but at his level, 10 steps could be covered in an instant. Su Xian thought he was about to succeed, and a smile appeared on his face. However, the resplendent sword light that came slashing down caused the smile on Su Xian's face to instantly disappear. Instead, it was replaced by a terrified expression, because Su Xian could feel the danger of death from the sword light. In a hurry, Su Xian did not have time to use any immortal technique. so he could only throw out all the defensive talismans in his ring. A series of defensive formations were formed, blocking the oncoming sword light. However, the sword light tore through the layers of defenses as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, heading towards Su Xian. Although the defensive talismans could not stop the attack, they gave Su Xian some time to catch his breath. Su Xian dodged to the side, avoiding his vital parts, and the sword light flew past him. At the same time, Su Xian grunted. After the sword light flew past Su Xian, it slashed at a cliff behind Su Xian and flattened the top of the cliff. Su Xian half knelt on the ground, blood flowing out of his body. Wang Haoren saw this and sighed his heart. He used all his strength and used one of his most powerful immortal techniques. The technique just now was called World Separation Sword. In Yifan's previous life, he was able to cut a planet in half with this technique when he was in the soul formation stage. It was an extremely powerful killing technique. Wang Haoren was only in the foundation establishment stage, so the power he could use was limited. But even so, the power was still terrifying. The cliffs that had been cut off were the best proof. Unfortunately, he still could not kill Su Xian, but it was not a big problem. Wang Haoren raised his sword and was ready to attack again. Ding! The host caused Su Xian to lose his manhood. Gained 18,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura a -900. The host's villain aura plus 900. The sudden news made Wang Haoren stunned for a moment. He used his X-ray vision to check Su Xian and found that Su Xian was injured. Wang Haoren was slightly stunned. The sword did not cut Su Xian in half, but only injured him. Just now, Wang Haoren did not notice where Su Xian was hurt. At this moment, he took a closer look and realized that the sword light that had passed Su Xian had shaved off half of a certain part of Su Xian's body. This was a complete coincidence. Su Xian. Haoren. Just as Wang Haoren was distracted, two voices came from the disciples of the Flying Cloud Pavilion. Su Qingtong and Su Qingxian squeezed their way out of the crowd, wanting to walk towards the battle. Su Ao raised her hand to stop them. Su Ao had seen everything that had happened earlier. Su Xian thought that Wang Haoren was a pushover and wanted to hold him hostage. However, he never expected that Wang Haoren's cultivation would be so strong, far above Su Xian's. Among these two people, one was the older daughter's sweetheart, and the other was the younger daughter's sweetheart. To prevent the situation from becoming even more chaotic, Su Ao really didn't want Su Qingxian and Su Qingtong to get involved. Su Ao took a deep look at the Wang family ancestor and Wang Wanli. The Wang family really hid their strength well. When the Wang family ancestor and the red-robed woman saw the situation below, they immediately stopped fighting. On the other side, Wang Wanli, who wanted to rush over to save Wang Haoren, was also dumbfounded. When Wang Haoren had used the Sword of Separation, his spiritual qi cultivation had inadvertently revealed 16th level Sage Realm. Compared to Su Xian, who was at the 11th level Sage Realm, it was a full 5 levels higher. Good, as expected of a direct descendant of the Wang family. Looking at the history of the Saint Realm, such talent can be counted on one hand. Wang Wanli was unusually excited. The Wang family ancestor didn't say anything, but the joy on his face couldn't be concealed. The red-robed woman hadn't noticed Wang Haoren before, as all her attention was on the Wang family ancestor. The unforeseen event below made her notice Wang Haoren's existence. The immortal-like figure of the man was reflected in her eyes, and she was dazed for a moment. She had lived for a very long time and had seen many people, but this was the first time she had seen such a good-looking man. However, this kind of admiration was quickly suppressed by her. This person had injured her disciple, Su Xian, and was her enemy. How could she have a good impression of her enemy? Wang Haoren looked around the battlefield, and his gaze fell on Su Qingxian. He immediately recognized that she was Feng Xian. Then, his gaze shifted to the peerless beauty beside Feng Xian, who looked somewhat similar to her, and he was suddenly stunned. This Su Qingtong was beautiful, but Wang Haoren had seen beauties like Feng Xuansu, Tantai Yaoyue, and Feng Yuro, so he wouldn't be stunned. What made Wang Haoren stunned wasn't that Su Qingtong was too beautiful, but that Su Qingtong was actually a blank piece of paper. Wang Haoran, who had learned the Devil Emperor's internal scripture, was very skilled in distinguishing whether a woman was a blank piece of paper or not. Basically, he could tell with a glance. Su Xian was obviously a protagonist in the middle and late stages of puberty. He had known Su Qingtong in the secular world. Logically speaking, Su Qingtong shouldn't be a blank piece of paper. Could it be that this Su Xian was one of those evil protagonists in the legends? The kind that wouldn't push the female lead no matter what, and would crazily keep people in suspense until the end. The protagonist was still a virgin? Wang Haoran secretly guessed. The woman in red rushed to the side of Su Xian, who was half kneeling on the ground, to protect him. The Wang family's ancestor and Wang Wanli also landed on the other side, and together with Wang Haoran, they surrounded the woman in red and Su Xian. It seems that us master and disciple are going to be buried here. The woman in red looked at the three people who were eyeing her covetously and smiled bitterly at Su Xian. You despicable villain. Su Xian looked at Wang Haoran and gritted his teeth. You took the opportunity to come over and kidnap me, and you said that I was despicable. Don't you think it's funny? Wang Haoran said, You have such a high cultivation. Why are you pretending to be weak? Su Xian said hatefully, I never said that I was weak. You just think that I'm easy to bully. Wang Haoran said, Then why didn't you attack earlier? Su Xian asked, I said first that I wouldn't bully you with numbers. You 2 against 2. That's fair. It's just that you're too shameless. You were fighting well, but you ran to me, so I was forced to attack. Wang Haoran said, I want to ask you, who's the despicable one here? Su Xian was suddenly a little speechless. He wanted to say something to refute, but he couldn't. His face turned red. Ding. The host has damaged Su Xian's mentality. Gained 6,000 villain points. Su Xian protagonist aura minus 300. Host villain aura plus 300. This Su Xian was too easy to take advantage of, right? Wang Haoran secretly rejoiced. He originally planned to kill Su Xian and end it once and for all, but now he suddenly changed his mind. This Su Xian's temperament was not enough, and he still lacked experience. Leaving him to take advantage of was more beneficial than killing him directly. Chapter 686. If Su Qingtong and Su Xian did something, Wang Haoran would not be interested, but Su Qingtong was a blank piece of paper. If he took Su Qingtong away, how upset would Su Xian be? Besides Su Qingtong, Su Xian's master was also very good. Su Xian must have some strange thoughts about this master. If Su Xian's master fell into his arms, what should Su Xian call him? What should the disciple call the beautiful master's man? Besides, Su Xian's main plot had developed to the middle and later stages. Besides Su Qingtong and the woman in red, there must be other female leads. These female leads might even be with Su Xian, but just like Su Qingtong, Su Xian had not touched them. I didn't expect that I would fall here today after dominating the Celestial Spirit's star zone. Seeing the situation, the woman in red had almost given up resisting and could not help but sigh. Hearing this, Wang Haoran's heart skipped a beat. There was information about the Celestial Spirit star zone in Yi Fan's memory. If the star zones were divided into 9 levels, the Celestial Spirit star zone was the 2nd level. The star zones in the 1st level were basically celestial primes in the tribulation passing stage. To be able to dominate the 2nd level of the Celestial Spirit star zone, one needed to be at the Great Vehicle stage. The Great Vehicle stage was only below the tribulation passing stage, celestial primes. They were considered very strong cultivators. It seems that you feel very wronged. A Great Vehicle stage cultivator with only a remnant soul left. Do you think you're very powerful? Wang Haoran said telepathically. Hearing this, the woman in red looked at Wang Haoran in shock. But don't worry, I won't bully a remnant soul in the Great Vehicle stage like you, Wang Haoran said again. Who are you? The woman in red was shocked and asked through telepathy. The past is like smoke. Let's not talk about it. My name is Wang Haoran now, Wang Haoran said lightly. Hearing this, the woman in red quickly made some judgments in her heart. If she guessed correctly, this person must be a reincarnated cultivator who remembered his previous life. Only celestial primes in the tribulation passing stage could reincarnate with their previous life's memories. Since he claimed to be an immortal emperor, he must have been an immortal emperor from some galaxy in his past life. After coming to this conclusion, the way the woman in red looked at Wang Haoran changed. Ding! Gu Hongyi's favorability towards the host has increased to 45. Current favorability is 45, very friendly. Wang Haoran inwardly rejoiced, but for the time being, he ignored Gu Hongyi. He looked in the direction of the Feiyun Pavilion and waved at Fang Xian. Seeing this, Su Ao did not stop him. Su Qingxian was overjoyed. She ran toward Wang Haoran and threw herself into his arms. Su Qingtong also stepped out from the crowd and walked toward Su Xian. Su Xian, are you all right? Su Qingtong came to Su Xian's side, wanting to help him up. I'm fine. You don't have to help me. Su Xian raised his hand and gestured. His wound was very awkward, so he deliberately covered it up, not wanting Su Qingtong to find it. Su Qingtong saw a lot of Su Xian's blood on the ground. She naturally did not believe his words and wanted to continue asking with concern. However, her gaze suddenly inadvertently glanced at the young master of the Wang family, who was hugging her sister. Su Qingtong did not see it clearly because they were too far away. Now that she was closer, she could finally see it clearly. Her sister was right. Her lover was really very good looking. It was simply rare in the world. He was better looking than all the men she had seen before. In terms of appearance, Su Xian was far inferior to her sister's lover. Su Qingtong's gaze froze after taking a look. She even forgot to say the words of concern for Su Xian. Su Xian saw this scene with his eyes. A surge of anger quietly rose in Su Xian's heart. His blood and qi surged, and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Ding! Host caused Su Xian's mentality to be damaged. Received 8,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura minus 400. Host villain aura plus 400. Ding! Su Qingtong's favorability towards the host has increased to 45. Current favorability is 45, very friendly. Greedily smelling the familiar warmth, Su Qingxian was unwilling to let go for a long time. But thinking that there were so many pairs of eyes watching, she finally let go with a red face. Su Qingxuan's beautiful eyes stared at Wang Haoran. She only felt that her lover had become more and more charming after not seeing him for a long time. For a moment, she was stunned. After a moment, she reacted and asked, "How did you come to the sacred region and become the young master of the Wang family?" Wang Haoran explained, "The Wang family of the eastern region is my ancestor. Not long ago, the head of the Wang family, Wang Wanli, who is also my great-grandfather, went to the secular world to find me. He found that I had the talent for cultivation, so he brought me to the sacred region. When I left Qingling, I missed you very much, so I want to find you. But I found that you had left with your biological parents. Why did you leave without saying goodbye? When I heard the news, do you know how sad I was?" "I'm sorry," Su Qingxian whispered. "I was afraid that after seeing you, I wouldn't bear to leave. I originally wanted to come to the sacred region and cultivate well. When I'm strong in the future, I'll go back to find you." Speaking of this, Su Qingxian smiled. "You told me before that if I become rich, I'll protect you in the future. I've always remembered." Wang Haoran was stunned for a moment. Only then did he understand that she left without saying goodbye because of what he said before. "By the way, how did you know I was at the Flying Cloud Pavilion?" Su Qingxian asked curiously. Wang Haoran continued, "I've always guessed that your background isn't simple. After you left, I sent people to the secular world to inquire about you, and I came to the sacred region to find you. Unfortunately, the eastern region is so big that I couldn't find you. So I thought of a way, which was to send a message to the forces in the eastern region and have them send beauties to find you. Later, by chance, I learned that the master of the Flying Cloud Pavilion had just found his daughter in the secular world. So I sent a disciple of the Wang family to the Flying Cloud Pavilion to ask for a portrait. But as Wang Haoran spoke, he suddenly stopped and looked at the embarrassed Su Xian. But this person didn't even ask and directly killed the disciple of the Wang family. Sigh. That disciple of the Wang family was the only son in the family. He had an old father and mother, and a child who wasn't even a month old. When the family heard the news of his death, they cried their hearts out. The wife of the Wang family disciple even jumped into the lake to commit suicide. Such a good family was destroyed just like that. When I heard the news, I was extremely angry, so I brought the people of the Wang family to seek justice. I see. Su Qingxian nodded in realization, and then looked at Su Xian with incomparable disgust. Su Qingtong glanced at Su Xian and couldn't help but frown. The others around also heard Wang Haoren's words and looked at Su Xian. Originally, everyone thought that the young master of the Wang family was a reincarnated lecher, but it turned out that there was another reason. All of this was caused by the young master of the Wang family, who was looking for his lover. However, because of Su Xian's intervention, things became serious. Chapter 687. Some of the surrounding people even began to point at Su Xian in low voices. Their voices were not loud, but Su Xian could still hear quite a bit. Su Xian did not believe the Wang clan young master's words. He wanted to refute, but just as he was about to speak, his master Gu Hongyi shook her head at him. Su Xian immediately came to his senses. His life was currently in the other party's hands. How could he reason with them? Besides, even if he tried to reason, he would not be able to win against the Wang clan young master. Wang Haoren held Su Qingshuan's waist and continued to chat with her. Soon after, he looked toward Su Xian and said, "You've dodged my attack and managed to survive. On account of little sister Qingxian, I won't kill you. This matter will be written off. After all, we may be family in the future. How about we go to Flying Cloud Pavilion to drink and chat? Don't pretend to be a good person. I won't accept your kindness." Su Xian angrily retorted. "Su Xian, you were the one who went overboard when you killed the Wang clan disciple. Now that the other party has decided not to pursue the matter, why are you being so fierce instead?" Su Qingtong somewhat unhappily said. "What? You've only just met him, and you're already speaking on his side. Whose woman are you?" Su Xian questioned. "Are you crazy? What are you talking about?" Su Qingtong was annoyed. "Are you angry because I've hit the nail on the head?" Su Xian seemed to have lost his mind. I can't be bothered with you." Su Qingtong's pretty face turned red with anger. Gu Hongyi secretly sighed as she watched from the side. Su Xian had never lost to someone of the same age as him ever since he started cultivating. To think that he would lose control of his emotions after tasting defeat for the first time. Gu Hongyi knew that Su Xian would not benefit from staying here any longer. Hence, she spoke to Wang Haoren. "Thank you for showing mercy. If there's nothing else, we'll take our leave." "Please," Wang Haoren said. Gu Hongyi nodded and used her spirit power to lift Su Xian, preparing to leave with him. "Wait," Wang Haoren suddenly called out. "Master, look, I knew he wouldn't let us go," Su Xian said in a low voice. Gu Hongyi sighed, thinking that her disciple had really lost her mind. If they wanted to kill you, they would have done so just now. Why would they go back on their words? Gu Hongyi calmly turned around and looked towards Wang Haoren. "This is for you." Wang Haoren tossed an inch-tall bottle to Gu Hongyi. Gu Hongyi received it and opened the bottle in confusion. She immediately smelled a rich spiritual energy, and the spirit power she had expended earlier had recovered a little. This small bottle actually contained spirit liquid. Even in the immortal cultivation world, spiritual liquid was extremely precious. It was also a kind of hard currency that could be used to buy all kinds of things. Furthermore, spiritual liquid was a hard currency, and the unit of measurement was calculated in drops. There were at least 50 drops of spiritual liquid in this small bottle. Its value was extraordinary. "This is too precious, and I feel ashamed to accept it," Gu Hongyi said fearfully. "It's rare to meet neighbors. It's just a small gift. Take it," Wang Haoren said. Gu Hongyi was probably the only one present who could understand what he was saying. She had previously unintentionally mentioned that she was from the heavenly spirit star domain. It seemed that this reincarnated great being was from one of the first-tier star domains around the heavenly spirit star domain. They were indeed neighbors. Then I shall accept it." Gu Hongyi paused for a moment, but still accepted it in the end. The spirit liquid in the small bottle was extremely beneficial to her spirit, so she was naturally very tempted. She had declined earlier because she felt embarrassed. Gu Hongyi would remember this favor and secretly planned to find a chance to repay it in the future. Ding! Female customer Gu Hongyi's favorability towards host has increased by 10. Current favorability, 55. Adoration, right eye? I'm called Gu Hongyi, Gu Hongyi said before she left. Gu Hongyi, I'll remember it. Wang Hao nodded and smiled at her. Gu Hongyi's mind was in a daze for a while, afraid that someone would notice something, so she did not dare to stay for long. Gu Hongyi used her spirit power to sweep up Su Xian, turned into a red streak of light, and flew into the air. Seeing that things had settled down, Su Ao let out a slight sigh of relief and invited Wang Haoran, the Wang family ancestor, and Wang Wanli to Flying Cloud Pavilion. Wang Haoran and Su Qingxian were close, and the two families would be in-laws in the future. Maintaining a friendly relationship was extremely important. Before the Wang family ancestor and Wang Wanli came here, they had not expected this at all. They had originally planned to flatten Flying Cloud Pavilion. However, the Wang family ancestor and Wang Wanli were shrewd people, and after seeing Su Ao's goodwill, they responded warmly, as if nothing had happened. After exchanging pleasantries, the Wang family ancestor and Wang Wanli did not plan to go to Flying Cloud Pavilion. Instead, they used the excuse that the Wang family had important matters to attend to as an excuse to return to the Wang family. Before leaving, they still had some things to say to Wang Haoran. Seeing this, Su Ao led the people of Flying Cloud Pavilion up the mountain. At the mountain gate, only the Wang family remained. Su Xian hates the Wang family and will definitely be a big problem for our Wang family in the future. When he grows up, he will be a big problem. The Wang family ancestor did not interfere just now out of consideration for Wang Haoran's wishes, but in his heart, he was actually willing to let Su Xian go. That's right, Wang Wanli agreed. Su Xian's life is in my hands. If I want him to die, I can do it at any time. Wang Haoran sneered slightly. When he injured Su Xian just now, he took the opportunity to take Su Xian's blood source and stored it in the sky-splitting tower. As long as Wang Haoran was willing, he could use the blood source curse to kill Su Xian from afar. Whether it was strength or temperament, Su Xian was far inferior to Yifan. He needed a long time to train. The current Su Xian was not a threat. If he held Su Xian's life and left Su Xian to harvest, Wang Haoran would benefit more. Moreover, Su Xian was injured now, and some important things had been cut off. Although a foundation establishment cultivator could regrow a severed limb. But with Su Xian's cultivation, it would take at least a year for him to recover. What did you do to him? The Wang family ancestor and Wang Wanli were very curious. Facing the two's doubts, Wang Haoran only smiled and did not say anything. The Wang family ancestor and Wang Wanli looked at each other and did not continue to ask. They knew that no matter how mysterious and powerful Wang Haoran was, he was a member of the Wang family. The Wang family would definitely rise under the leadership of Wang Haoran in the future. After asking a few more questions, the Wang family ancestor and Wang Wanli prepared to take their people back to the Wang family. Before they left, Wang Haoran suddenly said, "Although Su Xian has been released, we can't let him live too comfortably. Send someone to secretly kill Su Xian?" Wang Wanli asked. "I just said in front of people that I won't pursue Su Xian. If the Wang family people went to kill him and found out, wouldn't I go back on my words?" Wang Haoran smiled and then asked, "Su Xian has been in the East region for almost a year. He should have offended more than just the Wang family, right?" "Su Xian has offended many forces," Wang Wanli answered instinctively. He immediately understood, and a sinister smile appeared on his old face. "I know what to do." Chapter 688. The crowd at the entrance of the Flying Cloud Pavilion quickly receded. It would not be long before Su Xian would be chased like a rat across the street. Su Xian had been in the sacred region for a year, and he had been showing off and slapping faces the whole time. He had trampled on small factions, middle factions, and then major factions. And the Wang family was undoubtedly the biggest boss of the Eastern region in Su Xian's main storyline. Su Xian was so pretentious that he wanted to compete with the Wang family. He must have trampled on many forces in the eastern region. If Su Xian could keep showing off while his strength continued to grow, those factions would naturally not dare to find trouble. But now Su Xian was seriously injured and had almost lost his fighting strength. Although Gu Hongyi, who could contend against the Wang family's ancestor, was protecting him, Gu Hongyi was still just a spirit. She could use her spirit well, and her fighting strength was also very strong, but the biggest problem was that it consumed a lot of spirit in battle, and it was difficult to fight for a long time. Moreover, the consumed spiritual energy was not like spiritual energy, which could be recovered in a short period of time. Without some secret medicine to recover the spirit, it would be very difficult to recover in a short time. Gu Hongyi could drive away a few waves of people who came to find trouble, but she could not always protect Su Xian. The spirit liquid Wang Haoren gave Gu Hongyi was very beneficial to the spirit, but it could not recover spirit in a short time. Of course, Wang Haoren did not think that those factions could kill Su Xian. After all, Su Xian had a protagonist aura and was not something that ordinary villains could deal with. But as long as the Wang family spread the news, Su Xian would definitely be in a lot of trouble. Wang Haoren thought for a while, then went up the mountain to the Flying Cloud Pavilion. Su Ao held a banquet to entertain Wang Haoren. During the banquet, Su Qingxian was in high spirits, and the smile on her face did not disappear. Su Qingtong was a little absent-minded. Su Ao and Wang Haoren were chatting about some things when she suddenly noticed the look on her daughter's face. Su Xian has a mysterious woman with a powerful spirit. He will be fine. Su Ao guessed that her daughter must be worried about Su Xian, so she comforted her. I'm not worried about him. It's best if he dies. Su Qingtong snorted. Her words were obviously said in a fit of pique. Seeing this, Su Ao could not help but sigh. This younger daughter had been spoiled by his wife and had a bad temper. Su Xian was angry with her in front of others. It would be strange if Su Qingtong was not angry. However, Su Ao was somewhat dissatisfied with Su Xian's words and actions. Su Xian's injury had nothing to do with Su Qingtong. Venting his anger on Su Qingtong was a little strange. Before this incident, Su Ao had always thought that Su Xian was a steady person, but now it seemed that Su Xian's temperament was still lacking. When the journey was smooth, Su Xian's flaws were not obvious. But when he encountered setbacks, the flaws in his character were exposed. On the other hand, Su Qingshuan's sweetheart had an innate spiritual physique, and his cultivation had reached the 16th heaven true saint realm. Although he appeared calm and indifferent, he was decisive in handling matters. He was definitely someone who would accomplish great things. More importantly, Su Ao could tell that his eldest daughter, Su Qingxian, liked Wang Haoren very much. Her eyes were filled with him. Su Ao was a little jealous. Su Xian won't die. He's just injured. Wang Haoren suddenly interrupted, taking over Su Qingtong's words. Where is he injured? Su Qingtong couldn't help but ask. This. Wang Haoren wanted to say something, but hesitated. Speak. Why aren't you saying anything? Su Qingtong asked. Yeah, you could just say it. Su Ao didn't see where Su Xian was injured, but he saw that Su Xian had bled a lot. He could only judge that Su Xian's injury was not light. Su Xian wanted to hold me hostage. I instinctively struck back and cut off that part of Su Xian's body. Wang Haoren pretended to hesitate before telling the truth. Su Qingxian and Su Ao instantly understood. What part? Su Qingtong didn't understand. The part where men and women are different. Wang Haoren explained. Su Qingtong was stunned. I didn't mean to. I didn't expect to hurt him there. Wang Haoren looked apologetic. It's not your fault. Su Xian overestimated himself. Su Qingtong was a little angry at Su Xian, but she didn't care. In fact, when Su Qingtong heard that Su Xian was injured there, she wasn't particularly affected. With Su Xian's cultivation, he could regrow a severed limb, but it would take a little longer. But Su Xian didn't need it anyway. It didn't matter if it took a little longer. After the banquet, Wang Haoren and Su Qingxian were alone. What happened during this time was naturally not for outsiders to know. When night fell, Su Qingxian was a little tired and went to bed early. Wang Haoran went out for a walk alone. Su Qingtong was in the pavilion, staring at the moon in a daze. Wang Haoran came to the pavilion, sat down beside Su Qingtong, and looked at her. After a while, Su Qingtong realized that someone had come. You? What did you come? Su Qingtong asked in surprise. I've been here for a while. How come you're in a mood to admire the moon here alone? Wang Haoran casually found a topic to talk about. Aren't you the same? You're also here to admire the moon. Su Qingtong smiled. What attracted me here wasn't the moon, but the scene of a beauty admiring the moon. Wang Haoran also smiled. Su Qingtong was stunned. Her eyes met his, and her heart couldn't help but beat faster. Wang Haoran maintained his handsome smile, but secretly communicated with the system and gave an order. Ding! The host has successfully used Advanced Charm Halo on the female lead Su Qingtong, causing Su Qingtong to fall in love with someone else. Su Qingtong's favorability towards the host has increased to 70, undying affection. Ding! The host has influenced the plot. Received 16,000 villain points. Su Xian protagonist aura -800. Host villain aura +800. The first time he used it, his luck was pretty good. Wang Haoran was secretly happy. Su Qingtong liked Su Xian, so her heart belonged to someone else. The Advanced Charm Halo only had a 30% chance of causing the female lead to fall in love with someone else. However, it was still bumped into by Wang Haoran. This saved him a lot of trouble, because if he pursued Su Qingtong forcefully, there was a high chance that she would fall in love with someone else, but it would take some effort and time. You don't talk nonsense. If sister finds out, it won't be good. Su Qingtong only felt her heart beat fast. She nervously looked away, not daring to continue looking at Wang Haoran. I'm just saying that you're beautiful. This is a fact. It's nothing shameful. Wang Haoran smiled. Su Qingtong heard this, and her heart calmed down a lot. She immediately smiled. It wasn't the first time she was praised for being beautiful, but it was the first time she was so happy because of it. Right? How did you and Su Xian meet? Wang Haoran suddenly asked. Chapter 689. When I was in the secular world, my mother offended some people in her business. She was worried that they would harm me, so she hired a bodyguard for me. Su Qingtong recounted. This bodyguard is Su Xian? Wang Haoran suddenly asked. Yes. Su Qingtong nodded. When you found out about this, were you against it? Wang Haoran guessed. How did you know? Did my sister tell you? Su Qingtong was surprised. Wang Haoran smiled strangely. How could he not know about this kind of cliché? He had even seen it with his own eyes. To some extent, Qin Yunhan and Su Qingtong were the same type of female protagonists. Both of them were daughters of rich families. Their parents were worried that they would be hurt, so they hired bodyguards. However, Qin Yunhan's bodyguard, Xiao Yifeng, was unlucky and encountered a strong villain. On Su Xian's side, the villain at the beginning of the plot was a little weak. He must have been killed by Su Xian. Yes, your sister told me. Wang Haoran slowly replied to Su Qingtong. Sigh, I actually thought Su Xian was pretty good before, but today's incident made me reevaluate him. I didn't do anything to him. Why'd he throw a tantrum at me? Su Qingtong complained. Only useless men throw tantrums at women, Wang Haoran commented, then continued. There's something I don't know if I should say. Just say it, Su Qingtong said. I don't think this Su Xian is good enough for you. You're so beautiful and have such a good personality. You should find a better half. Wang Haoran said, No, my temper is actually very bad. I often throw tantrums. Su Qingtong was a little embarrassed by the praise and laughed at herself. Girls with a bit of temper are more cute. This is your strength. Wang Haoran said seriously. Do you think so? Su Qingtong was surprised. Yes. Let's not talk about the distant. Let's talk about your sister. She's too easygoing. I feel like she's lacking a bit of emotion. When two people are together, it's more interesting to bicker and mess around. Wang Haoran spoke nonsense in a serious manner. It was the first time Su Qingtong had heard such words. She was delighted for a while and said mischievously, Aren't you afraid that I'll tell my sister about this? Don't mess around. Don't tell your sister these things. Wang Haoran waved his hand, pretending to be afraid. In fact, Su Qingshuan's favorability towards him was already full. She was extremely indulgent towards him. Even if Su Qingtong went to say it, Su Qingxian would not take it to heart. At most, he would pretend to be angry on the surface for Su Qingtong to see, but in his heart, he would not take it seriously. Ah, don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Su Qingtong smiled. This is our secret. Okay. Wang Haoran smiled and nodded, staring at her. Su Qingtong's smile suddenly disappeared. She did not dare to look at him and whispered, Why are you looking at me like that? Yes. Who asked you to be so beautiful? I'm just looking at you a little longer. Wang Haoran smiled and then said, But don't think too much. I just treat you as a sister. I don't mean anything else. I just admire you. Su Qingtong could not help but feel disappointed when she heard this. But soon, she realized that the person in front of her was her future brother-in-law. She secretly warned herself not to think too much. She liked Su Xian. She should be loyal. However, the more Su Qingtong thought about it, the more confused she became, because she found that she suddenly lost the romantic feelings she had for Su Xian. For a few moments, she wanted to get rid of Su Xian. Su Qingtong knew that this was wrong. She was not a bad girl. She could not be like this. It's late. Go to bed early. Wang Haoran saw Su Qingtong's complicated gaze and could roughly guess what she was thinking. He did not continue to tease her. Instead, he wanted to give her some time alone to think. After saying that, he suddenly stood up and walked away, leaving Su Qingtong with a handsome back. Wang Haoran wandered around the Flying Cloud Pavilion for a while before returning to Su Qingxuan's room. With a thought, Wang Haoran entered the sky-splitting tower. The tired Su Qingxian had rested enough and had already woken up. Wang Haoran went out for a walk. It was about an hour, but 10 hours had passed in the sky-splitting tower. After resting for so long, Su Qingxian was full of energy again. When he was alone with Su Qingxian, Wang Haoran also told her some things. Su Qingxian already knew that Wang Haoran was the reincarnation of an immortal emperor. Have you rested well? Wang Haoran asked. Yes. Su Qingxian nodded. As if she understood, she reached out to untie the belt around her waist. She had not seen Wang Haoran for a long time. Naturally, she missed him a lot and wanted to spend some time with him. Besides, she could also cultivate. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Of course, Su Qingxian was very happy. Wang Haoran saw Su Qingxuan's actions and did not know whether to laugh or cry. However, he had other things to do and did not intend to take advantage of the situation. He suddenly asked, What do you think of Su Xian? When Su Qingxian heard that, she realized that she had misunderstood. She felt awkward for a moment. Then, she thought about Wang Haoran's question and replied, I had a good impression of him. My previous impression of him was not bad. However, after today's incident, I have gained a deeper understanding of him. Because he lost his temper at your sister? Wang Haoran asked. Su Qingxian nodded and sighed. If Qingtong really marries him in the future, I'm afraid she will suffer. Qingtong's temper is really not something that ordinary people can tolerate. Su Xian has a good temper and can be magnanimous. The two of them can get along well. However, from today's matter, this Su Xian is a little narrow-minded. More importantly, this Su Xian has other women besides Qingtong. Actually, I think so too. Su Xian is not suitable for Qingtong. Wang Haoran agreed. Then, he asked tentatively, For this sister of yours, as her elder sister, don't you plan to do something? You mean to let them break up? Su Qingxian asked in surprise. If you don't want to see your sister wash her face with tears in the future, Wang Haoran said. You seem to be very concerned about my sister. Su Qingxian looked at him meaningfully. She is your sister, which is also my sister. Shouldn't I be concerned about her? Wang Haoran smiled. Is it really just concern? Su Qingtong's lips curled up slightly. Are you suspecting that I have some impure thoughts about her? Don't you know what kind of person I am? How could I have such thoughts? Wang Haoran casually explained. However, when he said this, even he felt that it was not convincing enough. Chapter 690. You may have forgotten how we got together in the beginning, but I haven't. Do you think I don't know what kind of person you are? Su Qingxian pouted. All right, I admit that I did have some thoughts, but it's purely because she looks like you that I couldn't help but have those thoughts, Wang Haoran said. I know you're coaxing me, but why do I still feel happy? Su Qingxian ridiculed herself, then said seriously, I actually don't blame you. Relatively speaking, I'd rather Qingtong be with you than with Su Xian. But the problem is that Qingtong likes Su Xian a lot. It's probably difficult for me to interfere in this matter. That might not be the case. Wang Haoran smiled mysteriously. What do you mean? Su Qingxian was puzzled. Don't you believe in my charm? Wang Haoran asked with a smile. I'm dazzled by you, but you can't get anyone, right? Su Qingxian was in disbelief. What if I can? Wang Haoran said. If you can, then Qingtong and I will be at your disposal. What else can we do? Su Qingxian walked in front of Wang Haoran, reached out and hooked her arm around his neck, and said with a smile, All right, but you can't just do nothing, right? Go to your sister's ear and blow some wind, Wang Haoran said. Isn't this cheating? Su Qingxian said mischievously. Wang Haoran interacted with Su Qingxian for a while, but at the critical moment he suddenly stopped. Go come back and continue. Su Qingxuan's heart felt empty, and she said helplessly, You sigh. I'm afraid of you. Wang Haoran brought Su Qingxian out of the heaven-splitting tower. The latter tidied up her messy hair and clothes before leaving. Su Qingxian followed the path and arrived at the pavilion. Su Qingtong was in a daze when she suddenly heard footsteps. She turned her head and saw that it was Su Qingxian. Sister, why are you here? Has anyone else come besides me? Su Qingxian said casually and sat down on a stool in the pavilion. No, no one has been here. Su Qingtong felt a little guilty, as if she had a guilty conscience, so she corrected herself. Su Qingxian was suspicious. Just now, she had talked to Wang Haoran and knew that Wang Haoran had come to find her sister. But why did her sister hide this matter? Could it be that something had happened that her younger sister felt that she should not let her elder sister know about? However, Su Qingxian did not pursue this issue. Instead, she remembered the purpose of her visit and suddenly said, Qingtong, you've been spoiled by your mother since you were young. You have a bad temper. If you don't change it in the future, I'm afraid it will be difficult to get along with Su Xian. I'm not going to change. That's my temper. If I can take it, then I'll take it. If I can't take it, then so be it, Su Qingtong said angrily. Sigh, if you're like this, not to mention Su Xian, any man would find it hard to tolerate you. Su Qingxian frowned. Although he didn't object to Su Qingtong following Wang Haoran, he didn't want Wang Haoran to be bullied by his sister. Even if Wang Haoran could tolerate it, she would feel sorry for him. She couldn't wait to give him all the gentleness in the world. How could she allow him to be bullied by others, even if this person was her own sister? Hearing her sister's words, Su Qingtong suddenly lowered her head and fell silent. Qingtong, I know you may not like to hear these words, but it's the truth. You have to face it in the future. Su Qingxian said earnestly. Sister, I'm not a child. In fact, I've thought about these things. I can also be a good wife and mother. It's just that I don't like Su Xian enough, so I don't want to change for him. Su Qingtong raised her head and said to Su Qingxian, Then I sincerely hope that you can meet such a person. But this Su Xian is really not suitable for you. Su Qingxian said, Sister, do you think so too? Su Qingtong's heart was in a mess, but after hearing Su Qingxuan's words, her eyes lit up. Su Xian is narrow-minded. It's hard for him to tolerate your temper, and you won't change for him. It's better to have a short pain than a long pain. I can only advise you to separate from him as soon as possible. Su Qingxian said solemnly. Actually, I was thinking about these problems just now, but I couldn't make up my mind. Since you said so, I'll do it. Su Qingtong was no longer conflicted. It's good that you can think it through. Su Qingxian smiled. But I still need to talk to Su Xian face to face. Su Qingtong said, You should. Su Qingxian nodded. After thinking for a while, she said, Father is the pavilion master of Flying Cloud Pavilion. It's inconvenient for him to leave Flying Cloud Pavilion. Let your future brother-in-law accompany you to find Su Xian. His cultivation is so high, he can guarantee your safety. Okay, let's do that. Su Qingtong hurriedly agreed. Sister, will you go with me? I won't go. Su Qingxian shook her head. That's great. Su Qingtong was overjoyed and blurted out. Su Qingxian looked at her suspiciously. Uh, Sister, what I mean is, with my future brother-in-law protecting me, I won't be in danger. That's great. Su Qingtong hurriedly explained. Su Qingxian was not stupid. Of course, she did not believe her. At this point, how could she not see that her sister had feelings for Wang Haoran? No wonder she had been here without telling Wang Haoran. It was because she was guilty. After Su Qingxian came to this conclusion, she secretly sighed. Her man's charm was a little too strong. It seemed that he had only met her sister today. How could he steal her heart away like that? And the key was that her sister used to like Su Xian. Now, she had fallen in love with Wang Haoran. That was really fast. Then it settled. I'll go back to my room. Su Qingxian saw that her mission was completed and did not stay. Take care, sister. Su Qingtong nodded. Su Qingxian got up and could not wait to go back to her room. Her mission was complete. It was time for her reward. The next morning, Su Qingtong went to her sister's room to look for her, but it was Wang Haoran who opened the door for her. Su Qingtong was stunned for a moment, then quickly reacted. Her sister had told her before how far she and Wang Haoran had progressed. It was normal for Wang Haoran to come out of her sister's room early in the morning. After all, they had not seen each other for a long time. Your sister told me, Wang Haoran said first. Su Qingtong nodded and said shyly, then I'll have to trouble you to escort me to Su Xian. Do you know where to find Su Xian? Wang Haoran asked. That guy must be hiding at that vixen's place to recuperate. Su Qingtong curled her lips. Who's the vixen? Wang Haoran asked in surprise. That's Su Xian's other girlfriend. She's the personal disciple of the leader of a force in the eastern region. That force is full of women. From the disciples to the sect leader, they're all vixens. They're the best at seducing men. Su Qingtong complained. Chapter 691. Oh, is that so? Wang Haoran's interest was piqued. What's the name of the faction? What's the name of the vixen you mentioned? It's a first-rate faction in the eastern region called the Inuit sect. The vixen's name is Hua Jiyu. She's the only direct disciple of the sect master, Hua Feishuan. She's almost the same as the young sect master, Su Qingtong said with disdain. Everyone in the Inuit sect, from the sect master down, takes pleasure in seducing men. Who knows how many families they've destroyed? They're simply a bunch of demonesses. At this point, Su Qingtong suddenly gritted her teeth. My mother took me away from the holy region because the sect master of the Inuit sect, Hua Feishuan, seduced my father. My father wanted to marry Hua Feishuan. Wang Haoran was stunned. His curiosity was piqued. What happened after that? Did your father marry Hua Feishuan? After my mother left in a fit of anger, Hua Feishuan dumped my father. My father only regretted it after that. This Hua Feishuan is deliberately destroying other people's families, Su Qingtong said hatefully. Did your father have that kind of relationship with this Hua Feishuan? Wang Haoran asked. Su Qingtong blushed for a while. She whispered, no. My father didn't even hold Hua Feishuan's hand. Wang Haoran was secretly shocked. This Hua Feishuan was really something. She didn't take advantage of Su Ao. Instead, she made Su Ao fall head over heels for her. Wang Haoran was even more interested in this Inuit sect that was full of demonesses. From the incident with Hua Feishuan, this Inuit sect seemed to be a bunch of evil demonesses, but they actually had a bottom line. They were pure demonesses. To put it bluntly, they were the kind who ran away after seducing a horse and didn't give the horse anything. This kind of woman was really evil. However, it was precisely because of this that they were the faction of the protagonist. If they were really the kind of sect that messed around with men and women as the protagonist, Su Xian would definitely not mix with them. Su Xian's lover, Hua Jiyu, must be one of the female protagonists. Hua Jiyu's master, Hua Feishuan, could also be the female protagonist. Master and disciple killing each other. This was one of the most common tricks of the Gong sect. With that in mind, Wang Haoran asked, is that Hua Feishuan married? Or have you hooked up with anyone else after destroying the relationship between your parents? When Hua Feishuan destroyed the relationship between my father and mother, she was only the first disciple of the Inuit sect. Not long after that incident, Hua Feishuan inherited the position of sect master, Su Qingtong said. After becoming the sect leader of the Inuit sect, I haven't heard of Hua Feishuan seducing anyone. Instead, she has become unusually cold. Now, when people in the eastern region talk about her, the first thing that comes to mind is not the men she used to seduce, but the fact that she kills without batting an eye. Wang Hao nodded. After comparing it to the routines he had seen, he could roughly understand the reason. After Hua Feishuan became the sect master, her status was no longer the same as when she was still a disciple. That cold look might be Hua Feishuan's true face. This character setting sounded very difficult to conquer, but it was precisely because it was challenging that the protagonist, Su Xian, was so awesome. Obviously, this Hua Feishuan was probably one of the female protagonists. Master and disciple. Interesting. Wang Haoran laughed for a while, but soon he realized the problem and asked Su Qingtong, "Why are you so sure that Su Xian will go to the Inuit sect?" The Inuit sect is not only famous for seducing men, but they're also very good at healing. Core disciples, and above all, cultivate the Inuit demonic technique. The spirit chi cultivated by this technique is very helpful in healing injuries, Su Qingtong explained. I see. Wang Hao nodded. Then let's not delay any longer. Let's go. Okay, Su Qingtong replied. Wang Hao reached out and held Su Qingtong's waist. He could clearly feel that Su Qingtong trembled. Your cultivation is still lacking, so you can't fly. If not, do you want us to walk to the Inuit sect? Wang Hao said. That's true. Hearing this, Su Qingtong finally understood Wang Haoran's intention. She calmed down a lot and said with some shyness, Then let's go. A streak of light flew towards the sky. On the other side, Gu Hongyi and Su Xian had just been chased and fled to the Inuit sect's mountain gate. These bastards. Wait until my injuries are healed. I'll kill them all, Su Xian said with hatred. Gu Hongyi's figure dimmed and became transparent. It was obvious that she had used up too much of her spirit chi. Now that we're at the Inuit sect, those forces shouldn't dare to chase us. With your relationship with Hua Jiyu, she should protect you. She can also treat the injuries on your body. Gu Hongyi weakly said. Master, you've worked hard, Su Xian comforted. My spirit chi can slowly recover. At worst, I'll just sleep for a while, Gu Hongyi said. These people must have been ordered by that Wang clan's young master. I knew that he wouldn't let me go so easily. He put on an act in front of others, but secretly sent people to kill me. Su Xian's pale face flushed with anger. These people had a grudge with you in the past. Knowing that you're in trouble, it's normal for them to come after you. It shouldn't have anything to do with him. Gu Hongyi did not agree with Su Xian's words and immediately retorted. Master, he pretended to be nice and gave you a little favor. Do you also think that he's a good person? Su Xian asked unhappily. It's just that our standpoints are different. It's not good or bad. Also, I don't think that he has any ulterior motives for giving me these things. At his level, he doesn't need anything from me, Gu Hongyi said. Wang Haoran and Gu Hongyi had a conversation through sound transmission. Only the two of them knew about it, and no one else knew about it. Su Xian was naturally confused and did not understand the reason. Isn't he just a 16th level Sage Realm expert? He's only 5 levels higher than me. Give me some time, and I'll definitely catch up to him. I'll remember that he hurt me. I'll definitely pay him back tenfold in the future, Su Xian said somewhat unhappily. You're too narrow-minded. His current cultivation is indeed at the 16th Heaven Sage Realm, but Gu Hongyi suddenly stopped speaking. She felt that since he had transmitted his voice to her, he probably did not want to reveal his true identity. If she told Su Xian, wouldn't she be going against his wishes? What about him? Su Xian asked. Nothing. In short, don't treat him as an opponent. The two of you aren't on the same level. Your cultivation will grow, and so will his. Moreover, it will be much faster than yours. The more time passes, the greater the gap between the two of you. Gu Hongyi advised. So listen to Master. Don't take this matter to heart. He's already showing mercy by sparing your life. Don't be ungrateful. Chapter 692. Su Qingtong spoke up for that Wang Haoran, and now you're speaking up for Wang Haoran. What's going on between you two? Am I the one you're close to? Or is Wang Haoran the one you're close to? Su Xian was burning with jealousy as he said, unhappily, Sai, I know you're unwilling to lose to Wang Haoran, but there's really no need for that. You're not even on the same level. It's not shameful for you to lose. Gu Hongyi sighed. Master, do you understand what I'm saying? Su Xian asked loudly. Then do you understand what I'm saying? Gu Hongyi asked back. The master and disciple looked at each other and suddenly fell into silence. This was the first time the master and disciple had argued. Su Xian then realized that he shouldn't have spoken so loudly to his master. His master had contributed a lot to his success. However, just as Su Xian was about to apologize, Gu Hongyi said, Someone's here. Then she turned into a stream of light and entered Su Xian's ring. Soon, a beautiful woman wearing the Inuit sex uniform came to the gate and asked, Who are you? I'm Su Xian. Su Xian introduced himself. Oh, it's young Master Su. One of the Inuit sect disciples had seen Su Xian before and knew that he was the young Master Hua Jiu's partner. I'm here to find Hua Jiu. Please lead the way, Su Xian said. Young Master Su, please. The Inuit sect disciple led the way for Su Xian. Su Xian followed behind. Thinking that he was about to see Hua Jiu, his heart couldn't help but burn. At this moment, in a hall of the Inuit sect, there were two people in the hall. A woman was lazily leaning on the seat of the head of the hall. Her enchanting figure and beautiful face were enough to make countless women jealous and countless men infatuated. This graceful woman was the Inuit sect's master, Hua Feishuan. In the eastern region, the Inuit sect's overall strength was only below the Wang family. Hua Jiu stood not far away from Hua Feishuan. She was standing quietly and was reporting something. Compared to Hua Feishuan, Hua Jiu was less graceful and more seductive. However, just like her master, she was the kind of woman who could easily turn the world upside down. The new young master of the Wang family is actually at the 16th heaven true, Saint Realm. After listening to her disciples' report, the laziness on Hua Feishuan's face dissipated a little and a look of astonishment appeared on her charming face. This is absolutely true, Hua Jiu said. Our Inuit sect received this news a little late. I thought Su Xian was the number one of the younger generation in the eastern region. I didn't expect a new young master of the Wang family to appear out of nowhere. Interesting, Hua Feishuan said with interest. Her rosy lips curled into a charming smile. But soon, she recalled that she had not done this kind of thing for many years. Things like harming young talents should be left to the disciples of the Inuit sect. How old is the Wang clan's young master? Hua Feishuan asked. I don't know. You should be older than Su Xian, right? Hua Jiu said uncertainly. If the Wang clan's young master is over 25 years old, his potential is actually not as good as Su Xian, even if he has an innate spiritual body. Hua Feishuan said, That's true. Su Xian also has an extraordinary cultivation physique. It's not inferior to an innate spiritual body. Moreover, Su Xian's comprehension is high. Hua Jiu nodded in agreement. She paused for a moment and said, There's another news. Su Xian is severely injured and is being hunted by some forces. You want to bring people to save him? Hua Feishuan asked. He's the only man I admire among all the men I've met so far. It'll be a pity if he dies. I just feel that he has great potential. That's why I'm maintaining a relationship with him in name. Hua Jiu said calmly. Although she was together with Su Xian in name, she was far from liking Su Xian. I'm afraid that you'll burn yourself if you play with fire, Hua Feishuan reminded. Master, I was taught by you personally. How can I fall in love so easily? Hua Jiu smiled seductively. The Inuit demonic art was very special. During the early and middle stages of the art, one must not fall in love. Once one fell in love, it would be easy to go astray and lose one's cultivation. Therefore, almost all the cultivators of the Inuit demonic art cultivated their emotions. In short, it was to improve one's resistance. Before the disciples of the Inuit demonic art, they would go to the underworld to gain experience and get to know all kinds of people. They especially got to know those outstanding young men and even flirted with them. If they didn't fall in love after traveling for a year, It proved that their state of mind was strong enough to start cultivating the Inuit demonic art. However, outsiders didn't know the situation and thought that the disciples of the Inuit demonic art were seducing people on purpose. Therefore, the Inuit demonic art had a bad reputation. However, the people of the Inuit demonic art never explained anything. Nothing is absolute in this world. Don't be so sure. Hua Feishuan became serious. If Su Xian really has the ability to make me fall in love with him, then I'll give in. But master, you may have to find another disciple. Hua Jiyu covered her mouth and chuckled. Hua Feishuan glared at her. Hua Jiyu was her favorite disciple. She spent a lot of time and effort to cultivate her. Hua Jiyu also lived up to her expectations. She was not even 20 years old, but her Inuit demonic art was about to reach the great accomplishment realm. Once the Inuit demonic art reached the great accomplishment realm, even if one fell in love, it wouldn't affect anything. Hua Jiyu was only one step away from reaching the great accomplishment realm. Hua Feishuan didn't want anything to go wrong at this juncture. Master, young master, Mr. Su is here. He's waiting in the side hall. A female disciple of the Inuit demonic art walked into the hall and reported. He's not stupid. He knows to come to me. Hua Jiyu chuckled and asked the female disciple, "Where's Su Xian's injury?" "I don't know. Anyway, his face is very pale. It seems that his injury is not light," the female disciple said. Hua Jiyu said to Hua Feishuan, "Master, I'll go take a look." "Go." Hua Feishuan nodded and reminded her, "Remember what I said? The man who can make me fall in love with him hasn't been born yet." "Master, don't worry." Hua Jiyu smiled confidently and followed the female disciple to the side hall of the Inuit demonic art sect. Su Xian sat in the side hall and waited for a while. He was a little absent-minded because he regretted arguing with his master. After some time, he felt a gust of fragrant wind. He looked up and saw Hua Jiyu standing in front of him. She was leaning forward slightly. Although Hua Jiyu was wearing tight clothes, from Su Xian's angle, her curves were really mesmerizing. However, Su Xian only felt that it was spectacular. He didn't have any strange reaction. After all, he was injured. Of course, he wouldn't be interested like a normal man. Chapter 693. Hua Jiyu saw that Su Xian's eyes did not waver. She was surprised and slowly straightened up. The seductive look on her face faded a little. "I received news that you lost to the new young master of the Wang family. Where are you hurt?" Hua Jiyu asked with seeming concern. "Just an internal injury." Su Xian was afraid of being laughed at, so he did not say it directly. "Just an internal injury? But I see that your qi and blood are weak. You obviously lost a lot of blood." Hua Jiyu looked at him and said again, "It's really just an internal injury." Su Xian insisted on his words. Hua Jiyu could not help but be suspicious. Her beautiful eyes continued to scan Su Xian. Suddenly, she noticed that there was some blood somewhere on Su Xian's clothes. Hua Jiyu suddenly understood. So he was hurt there. No wonder he was so calm just now. It was his problem. I thought my charm had faded. Su Xian was a little uncomfortable under Hua Jiyu's scrutiny. He urged, "Give me some spiritual qi of the Inuit demonic arts to help me heal. The spiritual qi of the Inuit demonic arts is very precious. How do you plan to repay me in the future?" Hua Jiyu asked with a chuckle. "You are my woman. How else can a man repay his woman?" Su Xian threw Hua Jiyu an ambiguous look. "You're so bad." "Out of habit." Hua Jiyu laughed. Her face blushed a little, but she thought to herself, "You're useless. What can you do?" Moreover, she was far from being able to give herself to him. Even until now, she had not even let Su Xian hold her hand. Su Xian was indeed excellent enough to look down on his peers in the eastern region, but he was far from enough to make Hua Jiyu fall for him. "Hurry up. I need you to heal me," Su Xian urged. Before Hua Jiyu could respond, a female disciple suddenly walked into the side hall and reported, "Young master, the second miss of the Feiyun Pavilion, Su Qingtong, is here." Su Qingtong. Hua Jiyu was slightly stunned. Su Xian was overjoyed when he heard this. Needless to say, Su Qingtong must be worried about him, so she asked around for his whereabouts and came to find him. Although this young lady had a bad temper, she still cared about him. Otherwise, she would not have come all the way here. How many people did Su Qingtong bring? Hua Jiu asked her disciple. She and Su Xian had the same thought. They both thought that Su Qingtong was worried about Su Xian. So, she brought people from the Flying Cloud Pavilion to protect Su Xian. Only one person, the female disciple replied. Alone? Is it Su Ao, the leader of the Feiyun Pavilion? It's not Su Ao. It's a young man. He's very good-looking. It's my first time seeing such a good-looking man. The female disciple thought for a moment, and a look of infatuation appeared on her face. As a disciple of the Inuit clan, you can only seduce men. How can you be seduced by men? Your punishment is to clean the mountain gate for a month. Young sect master is right. But that man is really too good-looking. You really can't blame me. Can you give me a way out? The female disciple pleaded. If you don't repent, I'll add another month. Hua Jiu said expressionlessly. The female disciple was shocked. She opened her mouth and wanted to argue, but she was afraid that Hua Jiu would add another month. So she could only shut her mouth. Beside her, Su Xian's face was a little gloomy. This was because when he heard the female disciple's words, he immediately thought of a person. That person was most likely Wang Haoran. Although Su Xian hated him, he had to admit that this Wang Haoran's appearance was really too perfect. Jiu let them in. Su Xian also wanted to see Su Qingtong. At the same time, he wanted to confirm everything. Was the man beside her that Wang Haoran? Hua Jiu did not object and ordered the female disciple to bring them over. Outside the mountain gate of the Inuit clan, Wang Haoran and Su Qingtong were waiting. We're already here. Are you thinking of running away? Wang Haoran noticed that Su Qingtong was very nervous, so he smiled faintly. No, I just feel that if I do this, it makes me feel like a bad woman. After all, Su Xian was just injured, and I suddenly came over to break up with him. Su Qingtong said with a complicated expression. There's no right or wrong when it comes to relationships. You don't like him anymore. Do you still want to be with him? You were just a couple before. You're not married. Wang Haoran explained. I understand that. But at this juncture, isn't it a little? Su Qingtong was still a little worried. If that's the case, then I'll take you back to the Flying Cloud Pavilion. Wang Haoran was too lazy to persuade her and said directly. Sai don't. We're already here. Su Qingtong was unwilling to leave. That's it. Since we're already here, then let's just take things as they come. Wang Haoran was just pretending. Even if Su Qingtong changed her mind and wanted to leave, he would not take her with him. Okay. Su Qingtong nodded and replied softly. The Inuit clan was on high ground, and there was a strong wind at this time. When the cold wind blew, Su Qingtong, who was wearing thin clothes, could not help but shiver. Seeing this, Wang Haoran took her into his arms. Su Qingtong was shocked, but she did not struggle. She only said in a panic, What are you doing? The mountain wind is cold. I'm keeping you warm. Wang Haoran explained solemnly. Then he asked, Do you feel warmer? Warm? It's a little warmer, but are you really just protecting me from the cold? Su Qingtong wasn't a fool, as she naturally saw through his intentions. She raised her head slightly and looked at him timidly with her beautiful eyes. I can't help it. Wang Haoran sighed. What do you mean by that? Su Qingtong vaguely guessed something, but she was afraid that it was not, so she wanted to ask more clearly. I want to protect you for the rest of my life. Are you willing? Wang Haoran stared at her. Su Qingtong was stunned. She was looking forward to it, but it was a little too fast. She could not react in time. I was rude. Just pretend that I didn't say anything. Wang Haoran saw that she did not respond and suddenly pushed her out of his arms. Losing the warm embrace, Su Qingtong immediately felt empty in her heart. At the same time, she felt that the mountain wind was getting colder. You already said it. How can I pretend that you didn't say it? Su Qingtong hurriedly said. Then what do you think? Wang Haoran asked. Su Qingtong lowered her head and pinched the corner of her clothes. She said nervously, As long as sister has no objections, I have no objections. Don't worry about that. Leave it to me. There won't be a problem. Wang Haoran smiled and opened his arms. Su Qingtong suddenly felt guilty when she remembered that she and Su Xian had not separated yet. But the mountain wind was really cold, She hesitated for a moment, then went back into Wang Haoran's arms with a red face. While waiting, Wang Haoran was a little bored and wanted to do something. However, they were outside the Inuit sect after all, so he was still a gentleman. After all, a gentleman uses his mouth and not his fists. Su Qingtong had never experienced it before. At first, she was like a block of wood and did not know what to do. However, after being guided, she slowly learned a little and began to respond to him. At this moment, a figure walked over from the Inuit sect's mountain gate. Wang Haoran sensed it and hurriedly let go of Su Qingtong, returning to his serious appearance. Su Qingtong was too immersed and instantly left the state. She immediately felt a little lost. Chapter 694. Dear guests, our young sect master invites you. A female disciple of the Inuit sect came to the entrance and said with a smile. She then led the way. After a while, they came to a side hall. Su Xian and Hua Jiu were waiting in the side hall. Su Xian saw the person beside Su Qingtong. It was indeed Wang Haoran. His face became gloomy, but he didn't immediately lose his temper. Su Ao was the pavilion master of the Feiyun Pavilion. He couldn't leave the Feiyun Pavilion to escort Su Qingtong here. It was also very possible that Wang Haoran had offered to send Su Qingtong to her house. No matter what, Su Xian still believed that Su Qingtong cared about him. Qingtong, I know you're worried about my safety, but there's one thing I need to remind you, Su Xian said and coldly glanced at Wang Haoran. He reminded Su Qingtong seriously, you'd better stay away from this person. Otherwise, I'll be unhappy. I don't need you to care about my business. And whether you're happy or not has nothing to do with me. Su Qingtong heard Su Xian's words and said angrily, What do you mean? Su Xian frowned. Su Qingtong took a deep breath. I mean, we'll walk our own paths in the future and have nothing to do with each other. Su Xian was very unhappy, but Wang Haoran made him feel threatened, so Su Xian could only accommodate Su Qingtong. He said, I was wrong before. I shouldn't have lost my temper with you. I apologize. Don't throw a tantrum. Su Qingtong looked serious and didn't say anything. Su Xian was stunned. He realized that Su Qingtong wasn't throwing a tantrum. She was serious. Why? Because of the person beside you? Su Xian was burning with jealousy and shouted. Su Qingtong was shocked and couldn't help but take a step back. Wang Haoran reached out and held her back. He put his hand on her shoulder and said softly, Don't be afraid. I'm here. No one can hurt you. Su Qingtong looked at him with her beautiful eyes and smiled. She nodded at him. Seeing this, Su Xian's face twisted ferociously. Ding! The host has damaged Su Xian's mentality. The reward is 10,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura minus 500. The host villain aura plus 500. Su Qingtong, I didn't expect you to be such a fickle woman. I was wrong about you. How long have you known him? You actually got together with him. Su Xian said angrily. Whatever you say. Anyway, I like him. Su Qingtong didn't care what Su Xian thought of her. Anyway, she wouldn't have any interaction with Su Xian in the future. You bitch. Su Xian wanted to curse. Go on if you want to die, Wang Haoran said. Su Xian was shocked. He swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Although I've spared you, I can change my mind at any time. So you'd better watch your words, Wang Haoran said calmly. Su Xian was startled, but he soon realized his current situation and regained his confidence. This is the Inuit sect. It's not a place where you can do whatever you want. Then, Su Xian looked to the side. Jiu, am I right? Hua Jiu didn't answer. She just stared blankly at Wang Haoran and Su Qingtong. Su Xian didn't think that Hua Jiu was stunned by Su Qingtong. Jiu? Su Xian was annoyed and called out. What's wrong? Hua Jiu came back to her senses and asked Su Xian blankly. Seeing Hua Jiu's reaction, Su Xian was even more annoyed. Although Wang Haoran is handsome, you don't have to stare at him like that. I'm still here. Don't you care about your man? Ding! The host has damaged Su Xian's mentality. The reward is 6,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura minus 300. The host's villain aura plus 300. Su Xian coldly glanced at Wang Haoran and Su Qingtong and said to Hua Jiu, I don't want to see these two people. Please ask them to leave. Hua Jiyu didn't respond to Su Xian. She swayed her slim waist and walked toward Wang Haoran. She stopped 1 meter away from him and looked at him with a smile. You're really handsome. How should I address you? Su Qingtong saw that Hua Jiyu was flirting and looked at her warily. She subconsciously held Wang Haoran's hand tightly, as if she was declaring her sovereignty. My surname is Wang. Wang Haoran wanted to see how the demoness seduced people, so he acted very seriously. Oh, you're the new young master of the Wang family. I've heard a lot about you. Hua Jiyu covered her mouth in surprise. There was some admiration in her beautiful eyes, and she smiled sweetly. The Wang family released a message to the major forces in the eastern region, asking them to send their beauties. I want to go to the Wang family to see if I could win your favor. But there were many things to do in the sect, and I couldn't get away at the time. That's why I was delayed. I didn't expect to meet you here today. This little girl is truly honored to be able to meet young Master Tianyan. It's just because I want to find my lost lover. The Wang family also released a new message and explained it. You should know, right? But thank you for thinking so highly of me. But please forgive me for not being able to enjoy it. Wang Haoran waved his hand. Who in the eastern region doesn't know what kind of people the Inuit sect is? He won't talk to you. Su Qingtong said to Hua Jiyu proudly. Hua Jiyu ignored Su Qingtong and said to Wang Haoran, You misunderstood me. I'm 19 years old, and I haven't even let a man touch my hand. Hua Jiyu, this is the funniest joke I've ever heard in my life. Don't pretend to be innocent. Su Qingtong curled her lips. Wang Haoran smiled secretly. Hua Jiyu seemed to be frivolous, but he could see that she was still a pure girl. Sir, I'm telling the truth. If I lie, I'll be struck by lightning. Hua Jiyu swore. Hua Jiyu, that's enough. Don't you care about me at all? Su Xian couldn't stand it anymore and said furiously, You're injured. Be quiet, or you'll worsen your injury. Hua Jiyu reminded him kindly, but her face was expressionless. I don't want to see them. Ask them to leave. Su Xian ordered Hua Jiyu. Be quiet. Hua Jiyu reminded him again. I told you to ask them to leave. Su Xian said loudly with a straight face. Saiwai. Hua Jiyu suddenly sighed and said to Su Xian coldly, We're done. What do you mean? Su Xian was shocked. I mean, you've been dumped for the second time today. Hua Jiyu looked indifferent. She didn't have any feelings for Su Xian. She just admired him. Now that Su Xian had jumped up and ruined her plans, and even ordered her around, of course she couldn't stand it. Hua Ji, you witch? Su Xian said angrily. Yes, I'm a witch. Witches are fickle and heartless. Hua Jiyu said matter-of-factly. Chapter 695. Hua Jiyu spoke so matter-of-factly that Su Xian was rendered speechless for a moment. After a while, Su Xian said to Hua Jiyu, I was blind and misjudged you. Don't say it like you've been wronged. You have a lot of women. I'm the one who's wronged, Hua Jiyu argued. You're right. Su Qingtong agreed with Hua Jiyu. Su Xian was speechless and wanted to leave. However, he still had to rely on the Inuit sect for his injuries, so he could only hold back his unhappiness. A man knows when to yield and when not to. This grievance was nothing. He would get back at her in the future. Su Xian couldn't help but say, Hua Jiyu, I hope you won't regret what you did today. He snorted and then looked at Su Qingtong. And you, woman. Wang Haoran was listening. He thought Su Xian would say something like, life is full of ups and downs. Don't bully a poor young man. However, it seemed that he was overthinking. But then again, Su Xian's words were similar to, life is full of ups and downs. Su Xian clearly thought that he could become a top master in the future and crush Wang Haoran, making the woman who left him regret. Unfortunately, Su Xian was too naive. His life was in Wang Haoran's hands. As long as Wang Haoran wanted, he could kill him with a blood curse even if they were thousands of miles apart. Su Qingtong saw that the purpose of this trip was achieved. She held Wang Haoran's arm and said with a smile, Let's go back to Feiyun Pavilion. Ding. The host damaged Su Xian's mentality. Gained 6,000 villain points. Su Xian protagonist aura minus 300. Host villain aura plus 300. Su Xian looked at Su Qingtong's gentle, obedient, and sweet smile and felt very uncomfortable. When Su Qingtong was with him before, she had never shown such an expression. Most of the time, she had the temper of a princess. Su Xian had suffered a lot. But now, after being with Wang Haoran, not only was she not arrogant, but she also seemed to have changed. All right. Wang Haoran nodded. Sir, please wait. What you stopped him? What's wrong? Do you still want us to stay here? Su Qingtong curled her lips. That's exactly my intention. Hua Jiu nodded with a smile. The second lady of the Flying Cloud Pavilion has come from afar. Of course, I have to do my part as a host. Otherwise, if others knew, they would laugh at the Moon clan for not knowing how to treat guests. Forget it. I don't want to be associated with your Inuit sect. Su Qingtong hurriedly said. Since Miss Su wants to leave, I won't keep you. Hua Jiu didn't force her and turned to Wang Haoran. The Wang clan is the overlord of the eastern region. Since young Master Wang is here, if you don't stay here and let our Inuit sect play host, the Wang clan will think that our Inuit sect doesn't respect the Wang clan. Therefore, I would like to ask young Master to stay for at least a day or two. Our Inuit sect's scenery is beautiful, and there are many wonders. I can take you to have a look. I guarantee that young Master will feel that this trip is worth it. The Inuit sect is full of women. I'm afraid it will be inconvenient for me to stay. Let's forget it. Wang Haoran pretended to be embarrassed and waved his hand. Young Master, please stay. Hua Jiu smiled and repeated. Ding. Host has damaged Su Xian's mentality. Received 6,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura minus 300. Host villain aura plus 300. Su Xian secretly gritted his teeth, but he forced himself to endure and turned his head away from Hua Jiu's flirtatious look. I won't stay. Wang Haoran shook his head and pretended to leave with Su Qingtong. Hua Jiu panicked and blocked in front of Wang Haoran with her body. She winked at him and said again, Young Master, please stay. Miss, if you stop me again, I will be rude. Wang Haoran said seriously. Okay, then young Master, you can be rude to me. Hua Jiu was not only not afraid, but also proudly walked closer to Wang Haoran. Seeing this, Wang Haoran had the urge to use his ultimate move, Dragon Claw. However, to prevent the image of a gentleman that he had painstakingly created from collapsing, he forced himself to suppress this thought. Wang Haoran pretended to be indifferent and took a step back. Miss, please respect yourself. Wang Haoran said seriously. Sir, you're so handsome that I couldn't help myself. Hua Jiu sighed and said something that was half true and half false. Ding. Host has damaged Su Xian's mentality. Received 6,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura minus 300. Host villain aura plus 300. Although Su Xian turned his head, he could still hear Hua Jiu's voice. Just by listening to this soft and flirtatious voice, he could imagine what kind of expression Hua Jiu would have. If Su Xian's injury did not require the treatment of the Inuit clan, he would have already left. Hua Jiu, do you think I am invisible? Su Qingtong said jealously. Don't worry, I won't fight with you. We can coexist. You don't have to be nervous. Hua Jiu smiled sweetly. Don't be delusional. Can't you see that my boyfriend doesn't want to talk to you? He doesn't have feelings for you. Don't think too much. Su Qingtong snorted. Hua Jiu looked away from Su Qingtong and back at Wang Haoran. Young Master doesn't like me now. It's okay. I will try my best to make young Master like me. Miss, please don't joke. Wang Haoran sighed. I'm not joking. I'm serious. If young Master doesn't believe me, you can touch my heart. Hua Jiu pointed at her heart. Ding. Host caused Su Xian's mentality to be damaged. Received 6,000 villain points. Su Xian protagonist aura minus 300. Host villain aura plus 300. Wang Haoran subconsciously glanced at it and only felt that it was a spectacular sight. However, on the surface, he acted like he did not see anything inappropriate and waved his hand. Men and women should not touch each other. You can't do that. Miss, please don't stop us. We really have to go. After saying that, Wang Haoran pulled Su Qingtong around Hua Jiu and pretended to walk towards the door of the side hall. Hua Jiu blocked his way again. When Wang Haoran walked to the left, she also walked to the left. When Wang Haoran walked to the right, she also walked to the right. Miss, if you continue like this, I will really do it, Wang Haoran warned. Okay, young master, please do it. I promise I won't resist. Hua Jiu looked like she was ready for him to do whatever he wanted. Wang Haoran's heart fluttered. To be honest, this was the first time he had seen such a shameless witch. It was really interesting. He had many female protagonists around him, but none of them were like Hua Jiu. No wonder there were so many heroes who were bewitched by this demonic woman. It was not without reason. However, Wang Haoran was still very clear about one thing. It was true that Hua Jiu had a great affection for him, but it was not because she loved him. The reason why she kept pestering him was that she wanted to win him over. She was not really infatuated with him and could not control her feelings. Chapter 696. Wang Haoran knew very well that Hua Jiu's enthusiasm was mostly fake. If Hua Jiu used this kind of attack to deal with a gentleman, it would definitely be successful. However, Wang Haoran was not such a person. Miss, if that's the case, please forgive me for offending you. After Wang Haoran finished speaking, he reached out his hand and grabbed the air in front of him. When Hua Jiu came to her senses, she already felt that she had been caught. She felt as if she had been struck by lightning, and even her fake smile froze. Su Xian's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. However, what followed was a strong sense of jealousy. Ding! The host has damaged Su Xian's mentality and gained 8,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura minus 400. The host's villain aura plus 400. Although Hua Jiu was frivolous, in fact, during the time they were together, Su Xian had never even held Hua Jiu's hand. However, Hua Jiu was now. This scene did not affect Su Xian at all. Hua Jiu was also dumbfounded. Wasn't he a gentleman? Why did he use such a dirty trick? Wang Haoran pretended to be shocked and deliberately stopped his hand. Then he felt that it was hot and withdrew his hand. Miss, why didn't you dodge? You attacked so quickly. How could I dodge in time? Hua Jiu complained in her heart. However, since she had already been taken advantage of, she could only bite the bullet and continue to pretend. She smiled and said, Master, didn't I just say that I will not resist? I will not resist. Su Qingtong saw Hua Jiu's shameless look and was furious. She whispered in Wang Haoran's ear, Just use violence. Restrain her, and then we will leave. No, this is the Inuit clan's territory. If we really fight, we will be the ones at a disadvantage. Wang Haoran replied through telepathy. When Su Qingtong heard this, she felt that it was very reasonable, so she didn't say anything more. She signaled with her eyes to Wang Haoran to decide what to do. Wang Haoran pretended to think for a moment, then said to Hua Jiu, Since you were so kind, Qingtong and I will stay here for a few days. If we have disturbed you in any way, please forgive us. How could it be? Our Inuit sect is honored that young master is willing to stay. You can treat this place as your home. You don't have to be reserved. You can go anywhere in the Inuit sect. Hua Jiu paused for a moment and then winked at him. Even if you want to come to my room, there is no problem. If you continue to fool around, I'll teach you a lesson sooner or later. Wang Haoran snorted in his heart, but on the surface he said seriously, Miss, please be more serious. Sir, I welcome you at any time, even if you come late at night. Hua Jiu blinked and then said to a female disciple who was waiting in the side hall, Find 2 of the best guest rooms for our 2 distinguished guests. Yes, young master. The female disciple obeyed and led the way for Wang Haoran and Su Qingtong. Not long after, Wang Haoran and Su Qingtong left Hua Jiu's sight. Hua Jiu breathed a sigh of relief. She only felt cold sweat on her back. She had always dealt with men with ease, but when facing Wang Haoran, she was extremely nervous. Fortunately, Hua Jiu forcibly hid this emotion. Hua Jiu looked in the direction Wang Haoran left. Her white and slender hand subconsciously covered her heart. She seemed to feel some residual warmth that didn't belong to her. She could even vaguely feel a vague feeling of being grasped. Hua Jiu's heart rippled, and her pretty face gradually turned red. And this scene was seen by Su Xian, who was next to her. Ding! The host caused Su Xian's mentality to be damaged. The reward is 10,000 villain points, Su Xian's protagonist Halo minus 500, the host villain Halo plus 500. Shameless witch. Su Xian gritted his teeth and snorted. Although his voice was low, Hua Jiyu still heard it. Hua Jiyu came back to her senses and ordered another female disciple who was waiting in the corner. Find a guest room and let Mr. Su stay. Then ask Granny Yu to find time to treat Su Xian's injuries. After that, Hua Jiyu looked at Su Xian and said calmly, "You helped the Inuit sect a little before. I'll find someone to treat your injuries as a return." Hearing this, Su Xian felt extremely unbalanced. She let Wang Haoran stay in the best guest room, and when it was his turn, she found a guest room casually. But the difference in treatment was too obvious. And more importantly, she asked an old granny to treat his injuries. Su Xian didn't expect Hua Jiyu to treat his injuries personally, but at least find a beautiful female disciple of the Inuit sect. What did she mean by finding an old granny? However, under the eaves, he had to lower his head. Su Xian could only acquiesce to Hua Jiyu's arrangement, because he was in no position to negotiate. However, Su Xian would remember this deeply in his heart. Every dog has its day. Today, Hua Jiyu betrayed me, but one day I, Su Xian, will make you regret it. And that woman, Su Qingtong, when he was her bodyguard, he suffered a lot. He originally thought that after the drawbacks of the Taixian single chi technique disappeared, he could finally take revenge on Su Qingtong, but who knew that Su Qingtong fell in love with someone else too quickly. You all wait and see. Su Xian roared in his heart, but on the surface, he didn't say anything and left with the female disciple who led the way. Seeing that there were no outsiders, the female disciple who brought Wang Haoran and Su Qingtong in from the gate and was punished by Hua Jiyu to clean the gate for 2 months suddenly came to Hua Jiyu respectfully. "Young lord, I was right. This young master is really good-looking, just like an immortal from heaven," the female disciple said. Hua Jiyu heard the hidden meaning in the female disciple's words and continued to look at her, waiting for her to continue. The female disciple hesitated for a moment, then carefully said, "Young lord, can you make an exception for me to clean the gate?" "No. As a female disciple of the Inuit sect, you must not be charmed by men. I punished you to make you remember," Hua Jiyu said seriously. "Young lord, you're still talking about me. Didn't you lose your composure in front of that young master just now?" The female disciple muttered bitterly. "I was seducing him." Hua Jiyu hurriedly corrected her. "Is that so? Young lord, was your action just now completely fake, or did it have some true meaning?" The female disciple asked tentatively. Hua Jiyu heard this and was shocked. She could only feel cold sweat on her back, because she asked herself honestly, she really did have some special emotions when she went in just now. Hua Jiyu had just been taken advantage of, and it was the first time she had such contact with a man. If it was another person, Hua Jiyu would have killed him directly. But Hua Jiyu didn't do that. There were 2 reasons. First, Hua Jiyu knew that she was no match for Wang Haoran. Second, Hua Jiyu was taken advantage of, so she was more shy than angry. For Hua Jiyu, who had not fully mastered the Inuit devil art, this was definitely a dangerous signal. Hua Jiyu felt her heart was in a mess, and she was a little out of her wits. She couldn't calm down for a while. After taking a deep breath, Hua Jiyu left the side hall and prepared to ask her master, Hua Fei Xuan. Her master's cultivation was profound, and she had never fallen in love with a man before. She must have a solution. Chapter 697. Su Xian was silent the entire way as he followed the Inuit sect female disciple to a guest room. The female disciple left after bringing Su Xian here. Su Xian touched the table in the room and felt a handful of dust. It was obvious that this room had not been cleaned for a long time, as there was a faint musty smell in the air. Su Xian recalled what had happened in the side hall, and his pent-up anger erupted as he smashed the table with a palm. A streak of red light shot out from the ring on Su Xian's finger, condensing into Gu Hongyi's stunning figure in the air. Since it has already come to this, there's no point in being angry. Gu Hongyi consoled. Although she was hiding in the ring, she was aware of what the people outside were saying. "Master, Wang Haoran stole someone's love. He's a despicable person." Do you see him clearly now? Su Xian complained. It's hard to tell who's right and who's wrong when it comes to relationships. Since Su Qingtong doesn't like you, it's her freedom to separate from you. Gu Hongyi sighed. Wang Haoran must have seduced Su Qingtong, or she wouldn't have had a change of heart. Su Xian insisted that Wang Haoran was at fault. Su Qingtong doesn't love you enough. If she truly loved you, why would she have a change of heart? Su Qingtong didn't break up with you because of him. Gu Hongyi retorted. Moreover, you have many women. It's understandable that Su Qingtong doesn't want to be with you. Su Xian was even angrier when he heard this. His obsession with Su Qingtong was still very deep. After all, when he was Su Qingtong's bodyguard in the past, he didn't know how much she had bullied him. Su Xian had always dreamed of the day when he could truly subdue this willful young miss, both physically and mentally. But now his dream had been shattered. Besides this obsession, there was something else that made Su Xian very unhappy. If Su Qingtong had broken up with him because of another man, and not Wang Haoran, Su Xian would not have felt so bad. Master, I've realized that you can't tell right from wrong. This Wang Haoran is a despicable person. Why do you keep speaking up for him? Su Xian was unhappy that Gu Hongyi was defending Wang Haoran. Su Xian, you're prejudiced against him. You're jealous of him. Gu Hongyi was also a little unhappy and directly called out Su Xian's name. Su Xian was at a loss for words, but the unhappiness in his heart did not lessen. The scene fell into silence again. Su Xian had originally planned to properly apologize to his master, but now, because of his anger, he had already thrown this matter beyond the highest heavens. Gu Hongyi did not say anything else. She turned into a streak of light and flew off, her destination unknown. Su Xian was in a bad mood. He left the room and went for a walk. In the main hall of the Inuit sect. You want to see Su Xian? Hua Feishuan was half leaning on a bench in the hall, pretending to be asleep. When she sensed Hua Jiyu's arrival, she didn't open her eyes and just asked softly. Yes. Hua Jiyu nodded and said, Flying Cloud Pavilion's second Miss Su Qingtong and the Wang family's new young master are also here. It's normal for Su Qingtong to come, but why is the Wang family's new young master here? Hua Feishuan slowly opened her cold eyes and was slightly surprised. The Wang family's young master escorted Su Qingtong here. Hua Jiyu said. Although it was just a simple sentence, the wise Hua Feishuan deduced some things from it. Is there a problem in the relationship between Su Qingtong and Su Xian? Hua Feishuan asked. Master's guess is correct. Su Qingtong and Su Xian have already separated. Hua Jiyu said. Hearing this, Hua Feishuan was not surprised. If Su Qingtong cared about Su Xian, she wouldn't have let a man escort her alone. Wouldn't this make Su Xian unhappy? This could only prove that Su Qingtong did not care about Su Xian. There was nothing strange about them separating. After Su Qingtong left Su Xian, she went into the arms of the Wang family's young master. Hua Jiyu continued to report, but then she corrected herself. But actually, it's more likely that Su Qingtong and Su Xian separated because she liked the Wang family's young master. This Wang family's young master is more outstanding than Su Xian. Hua Feishuan was slightly interested. This person's bone age is less than 20, slightly younger than Su Xian. Whether it's potential or current cultivation, Su Xian can't compare to him. When Hua Jiyu said this, she was overjoyed. Bone age less than 20? Hua Feishuan was even more interested. She smiled inexplicably. This second daughter of Su Ao is quite picky. At first, I thought that she came from the secular world and was willful and unreasonable. She didn't know how to weigh the pros and cons. It seems that Su Ao taught her well. I'm afraid that Su Qingtong's motive is not for the benefit of the Flying Cloud Pavilion, but she really fell in love with the Wang family's young master. Hua Jiyu said, Oh, this Wang family's young master, other than his cultivation, is there something else that's outstanding about him? When Hua Feishuan heard her disciple's words, she was surprised and asked, This person's appearance is the most outstanding among all the men I've seen, Hua Jiyu said with a smile. But after that, she felt that her description was not enough, so she added, or to put it another way, in terms of appearance, there's probably no man in the world who can compare to him. It's hard for a woman not to be moved by him. It's normal for Su Qingtong to fall in love with someone else. When Hua Feishuan heard this, she could not help but frown. This was because she could see that her disciple was a little out of sorts. Jiyu, your heart is in a mess, Hua Feishuan said in a low voice. I've disappointed you, master, but I really can't calm my heart. Please guide me, master, Hua Jiyu said in shame. She came here to report to Hua Feishuan, but more importantly, she wanted to ask for guidance. There's no good man in the world. They're all lustful. No matter how good-looking they are, their hearts are full of filth. Why can't you see through them? Hua Feishuan sighed. To be honest, she was really disappointed in Hua Jiyu. Hua Feishuan could understand if Hua Jiyu had some feelings that she should not have because she had spent too much time with a man. However, Hua Jiyu had only met the Wang family's young master today. Hua Feishuan could not understand why she was moved by his appearance. I know that there's no good man in the world, but I still... Hua Jiyu suddenly stopped halfway and lowered her head in shame. Sigh, before you fall too deep into the mud, don't get involved with this Wang family's young master. If you want to rope him in, I'll find another beautiful disciple of the Inuit sect, Hua Feishuan said. Master, Hua Jiyu subconsciously wanted to object. Jiyu, Hua Feishuan interrupted Hua Jiyu with a deep voice. Hua Jiyu was shocked. She swallowed the words that were about to come out of her mouth and replied with difficulty. Disciple. Disciple obeys. Chapter 698. Silly girl, I'm doing this for your own good. Hua Feishuan sighed when she saw Hua Feishuan's reluctance. I understand. Hua Jiyu bowed her head. By the way, how did you deal with Su Xian? Hua Feishuan asked as she recalled something. I asked someone to arrange a guest room for Su Xian. I also promised him that I would send an old woman from the Inuit sect to treat his wounds. It can also be considered as repayment for his help to the Inuit sect. Hua Jiyu explained. She suddenly paused, hesitated for a moment, and continued. Also, I drew a line between Su Xian and me. Hua Feishuan frowned. Even if Su Xian's potential is not as good as the young master of the Wang clan, you don't have to draw a line between you and him so quickly. No one can be sure about the future. Su Xian's talent is not bad. If he catches up and even surpasses the young master of the Wang clan in the future, what will you do? Wouldn't the Inuit sect lose a great helper? Hua Feishuan scolded. I didn't think so much at that time and didn't handle it well. Please forgive me. Hua Jiyu lowered her eyes. Sigh, it's not that you didn't think so much. You just wanted to win the favor of the young master of the Wang clan. That's why you suppressed Su Xian. Hua Feishuan saw through her disciple's thoughts. I was wrong. I failed master's teachings. Please punish me. Hua Jiyu was ashamed. She knelt on the ground and begged for forgiveness. Go to the Wuyang cliff and meditate. Come down when you can think it through. Hua Feishuan ordered. Yes, master. Hua Jiyu answered and walked out of the hall. Her slender shadow was cast by the light that shone into the hall. She looked very lonely. After Hua Feishuan watched Hua Jiyu leave, she slowly got up from the bench. The palace dress that dragged on the ground outlined her exquisite figure as she walked out of the hall. She wanted to see what kind of person this man was, who had made her disciple, whom she had painstakingly taught, lose her mind. Hua Feishuan learned about Wang Haoran's residence from her disciple. Thus, she headed towards Wang Haoran's residence. However, she saw a familiar figure on the way. It was Su Xian, who was out for a walk in a bad mood. Young Master Su, there are many paths in the Yin Moon sect. It's very easy to get lost. If you want to take a look around, I can ask a disciple to lead the way for you. Hua Feishuan said calmly. Hearing this, Su Xian recovered from his trance. His eyes reflected Hua Feishuan's peerless and graceful figure, and his heart trembled. He hurriedly saluted and said, Greetings, Sect Master Hua. Compared to Hua Jiyu, Su Xian was actually more attached to Hua Feishuan. A woman like Hua Feishuan held a high position and was the sect master of sect. Su Xian really wanted to see Hua Feishuan's indescribable charm under her nobility. However, Su Xian also understood that he was far from qualified. No need to stand on ceremony. Hua Feishuan waved her hand and said, Jiyu's actions were very inappropriate. I have already punished her. Young Master Su, please don't take it to heart. Also, I'll find another disciple to find a better place for young Master Su, and have the core disciples of the Dark Moon sect treat your injuries as soon as possible. Of course, Hua Feishuan had her own considerations. Even if Su Xian's potential wasn't as good as the young master of the Wang clan, she still couldn't treat him too coldly. Hua Feishuan didn't expect to win Su Xian over, but at least she didn't want Su Xian to hate the Dark Moon sect. Thank you, Sect Master Hua. Su Xian's mood finally improved after hearing Hua Feishuan's words. At the same time, his impression of Hua Feishuan also improved greatly. She still had the demeanor of a sect master, unlike Su Qingtong and Hua Jiyu, who were ruthless. When they saw the young master of the Wang clan, they shamelessly went up to him, wanting to draw a clear line between them. Su Xian secretly noted down Hua Feishuan's importance and secretly thought that he must repay her in the future. He heard that Hua Feishuan didn't have a partner and must be very lonely. So, he reluctantly became her partner. This could be considered as repayment, right? Hee. Su Xian thought in his heart. Hua Feishuan was very good at reading people. She could roughly guess some things from the changes in Su Xian's eyes. Hua Feishuan secretly sneered, but she didn't expose him. I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave now. Hua Feishuan bade farewell and walked away in a certain direction. Su Xian looked at Hua Feishuan's exquisite figure and was stunned. Outside of Wang Haoran's guest room, many female disciples of the Inuit sect had gathered. They were chattering and trying to see clearly what the person in the room looked like. When Wang Haoran arrived at the Dark Moon sect, he was seen by some female disciples of the Dark Moon sect. These female disciples were confused and couldn't help but tell the people around them about it. The news spread like wildfire, and many disciples of the Dark Moon sect knew that a man like a banished immortal had come to the Dark Moon sect. Everyone wanted to take a look at his face and see if he lived up to his name. Wang Haoran sat in the room and pretended to read a book. However, his attention wasn't on the book at all. Instead, he was looking at the group of girls outside the room. The Dark Moon sect was simply a gathering place for beauties. Any random female disciple was as beautiful as a flower. More importantly, the Dark Moon sect's corporate culture was quite special. Every female disciple's words and actions were somewhat provocative. After looking at their faces, Wang Haoran wanted to see more clearly. Therefore, he couldn't help but use his X-ray vision. In the blink of an eye, everything that was blocking his vision disappeared. Wang Haoran only took a few glances and felt his blood rushing to his head. How was this a cultivation sect? This was heaven. However, before Wang Haoran could continue to feel, he suddenly felt a soul fluctuation. Who is it? Wang Haoran shouted. The room's window suddenly closed automatically, blocking the view of those who were peeking. In midair, a beautiful red-clothed figure appeared. It was Su Xian's master, Gu Hongyi. Thank you for the spirit liquid. This little girl left in a hurry and didn't have the chance to thank you properly. This time, I've specially come to thank you, Gu Hongyi said. Hearing Gu Hongyi refer to herself as little girl, Wang Haoran was slightly taken aback. Gu Hongyi was at least a few hundred years old, right? However, Wang Haoran quickly reacted. Gu Hongyi thought he was an immortal emperor, so she naturally thought his real age was older than hers. There is nothing wrong with her referring to herself as little girl in front of him. It's a small matter. No need to thank me, Wang Haoran said generously. In fact, there was a hidden soul imprint on the small bottle that contained the spirit liquid. Wang Haoran had given Gu Hongyi the spirit liquid to win her favor, but at the same time, he had held back. If the soul imprint was triggered, Wang Haoran would know Gu Hongyi's location. If he knew Gu Hongyi's location, he would naturally know Su Xian's location.